right, we are live. How are we doing? Just gonna wait for people to show up here. Ooh, it is April 3rd, I believe. Right, we're live. Hey, how's it going today? Rachel Doran, good to see ya. How is life? Rearranging my desk here. Hey, how's stuff? How's things? I'm doing all right. Excuse me. I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. But hopefully this live is great. Good morning, Andy Pandy Pie. Good to see ya. How's it going? How's everyone doing this morning? Started a new job at a crisis line. Awesome. That's fitting. That's fitting for you. Hey, Derek Barrows. How's it going? How's it going, everybody? How are you doing? Oh dear. All right, I'm gonna take 1 second to get in the zone here. My weekend has, my weekend's been good. My weekend's been all right. Thank you. I appreciate it, Prince Priestess. Yeah, there's supposed to be purple in there, but it might not be easy to see on the camera. Oh, thanks, Dana. I appreciate it. I'm glad you love my content. Hey, Jen Katie. All right. Ooh. I think I'm just doing Q and Channeled A today. We'll see how it flows. I'm thinking about changing up the format of my lives and doing more, general readings and more like full channel mode messages and things like that, and then still having room for Q&A stuff. But I'm curious if that would just go better for everyone. Brandon, your channel readings are the best. I'm scheduling appointments. Awesome. I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Good. And I hope you're doing well with everything. For sure. No, that'll be good. Right about. Okay, so we're gonna jump into Q and Channeled A, and then we'll see where I'm guided to go, where my guides, angels, and source want me to go here. So right about asked, do you see a spirit animal around me? Let's see. What's the first one that wants to come forward for you? Interestingly enough, what they're showing me first and foremost with you is a dragon, which is not a super common one, honestly, but it's what's showing up. And then they're also showing a koala, which is pretty big, just exposition, right? If I'm saying that word correctly. But what's koala spirit animal doing? What are the spirit animals doing with you right here? So dragon is here helping you to increase your self-worth is what I'm getting for you, and just helping you to realize your magic. Koala is, they're showing me hang loose. Like they're showing me a koala hanging on a tree and he's doing like the hang loose hand sign. So what's the koala helping you to do here? All right, one thing that koala is saying to me that it's helping you with is like realizing that even if you're unconventional, you have what it takes, is one of the things it said. Typically, I might denote like sloth with chill a bit more, but the koala was talking about helping you to hang loose a little bit. I suppose that's about not taking life too seriously. I don't feel like that's the main message, but that's another thing I'm getting for you right about regarding spirit animals. Moonrose PI, hi, I've been scrolling looking for you. Hi, aw, that means a lot. Good to see ya. Gabby la la la, hey, how's it going? Good morning, aspiring human, good to see everybody. So right about, those are the first two spirit animals that I see showing up. Okay, starfish is the next one showing up for you, which is about healing and regeneration typically. Also, I'm getting rest, and they're also showing me rest as a message for you regarding starfish. So I would definitely take time for you to rest and recover if you feel like you need that. But those are the three I want to bring through for you. Those are the three that I'm getting for you first and foremost here. And sometimes when spirit animals start showing up, they just keep showing up, like especially during the personal readings. When it's spirit animal time, it's spirit animal time, and then like 5 of them show up and deliver messages. But it's, but we'll go with it. I love spirit animal. Honestly, I love the spirit animal readings. I love when they show up because like it's always just it's something that's pretty concrete, and then it's just the messages are always really good. Not that they aren't good without that, but anyways, what would be the best thing to get to next? Prince Priestess asks, anything that they need to hear for this week? I'm gonna pull one card here. So first thing I'm getting for you with the ocean, Our Lady of the Ocean of Rebirth popping out here, is you're not done changing. And I do get a message like you've been through a lot, but there's still more to go. Doesn't mean bad things are going to happen, by the way. It's more just like you've seen some major changes and you're going to see a lot more. Is one of the messages that wants to come through. I'm not sure if that's just this week, but that's just one of the messages coming through for you first and foremost. So let's see here. What do you need to know most for this week? So if waters are choppy for you at all, like that's temporary is one thing that they're talking about. And choppy waters also, metaphorically speaking, don't always have to be bad. I mean, sometimes you're in a boat in choppy waters, and as a kid it's fun because the boat's rocking around and you're like, oh yeah, this is great. So it doesn't have to be bad when I'm getting a message of choppy waters for you, but that's one of the messages coming through is like, if you find yourself in any choppy waters, it's temporary. And they're showing me like you're in this boat and then the waters are choppy and then there's like this sea monster in the water, or it looks like a sea monster. But the message that they're saying is like, if anything looks like a sea monster or looks scary, like it's not a sea monster. Like it might look like a sea monster, but then it's like a dolphin with seaweed on it or something like that. So you might have some false alarms, or you might have things that seem scary, but they're not scary. In the next week or so, or the next month is something I'm getting. I don't feel like it's going to be a constant thing. It's just like, I don't know, like a jump scare, but it's like a jump scare in a kid's movie where it's like not a big deal because it's a kid's movie, Beyond that, what else do you need to know this week here? Like what would be highest and best for you to focus on here? One thing I would look into is potential, because it's showing me like a singing bowl and like sound clearing and sound healing. Like clearing your vibes is one thing they're talking about. I don't think it's a big deal, but it's just something they talked about would just be like, maybe if you had some type of sound ritual to add in. They're clarifying it's not necessary, but that's what they showed me was like using like a singing bowl or some type of sound healing to like clear your energies. You could probably just use something on YouTube, by the way. You probably don't have to go out and like buy hundreds of dollars in singing bowls. That's just a suggestion. So anything else you need to focus on this week or this month here? What I'm getting for you as far as like what to focus on as well is like, it's the question of like, what do you want to create in general? Like April's a good month to focus on what you want to create for you is something I'm getting, like long term, like in the big picture. I think you already have a good idea, but it might be a good month to pave some action steps towards that, or to finalize some details or get clearer on it. And also to clear the pathway, like any prayers where you're clearing the pathway ahead, like asking Ganesha to help out, or maybe you could ask dragons to help out too. I love working with dragons, but any prayer like that would be helpful as well, as something I'm getting. I really feel like you're on a good track. I think we talked pretty recently, but I feel like you're on a good track, but hopefully that's all helpful information as well here. I also have a card here that's for everybody watching, not just Prince Priestess. It's Our Lady of... Sorry, I went to pull another card and they said this is for everybody, so that's why I'm saying that. Our Lady of Peaceful Change coming out here. That's kind of where this collective is headed. I do get this message for everyone. Like there might be some sudden like left turns in the next month or two, or like sharp turns like on the path. but it's leading to a peaceful resolution or a peaceful change. So any sudden movements by the universe or in your life actually headed to better, not anything you really need to worry about. It kind of reminds me of like maybe you're in an Uber car, an Uber ride. And I don't know if they have Uber outside of the US, but Uber is like, you probably know what Uber is. You can ask someone in the comments if you don't know what Uber is. But with Uber, like if the driver takes a sudden left turn and it wasn't like necessarily like where you thought they were going, like it might freak you out for a second, but then they're just taking a shortcut and it's like all as well. So that's kind of like what they're almost quantifying it as well. I do feel like everyone's on the right track too, which is good. Even if you feel like you're not, you're just a few steps away from feeling like you're on the right track, in addition to being on the right track is what I'm getting as well. I'd also, sorry, I didn't mean this to turn into a general reading for everyone, but here we are. With the yellow on this card that they're pointing my eyes to, I'd also just pay attention to your personal power is something I'm getting for most all of you. That might be a theme in this summer time. And for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, that's going to be this winter time. So June, July, August, and maybe even leading up to that is more of just like owning your personal power and not backing down in those ways, especially with the people around you, or especially regarding anything that might, any people in your personal life that might lead you astray or give you advice that's not good. Like, now's a good time to really trust yourself is what I'm getting as well. Also, another bigger theme for more of the people here, or just more collectively, is like root chakra healing is something I'm getting. Or some people are just kind of forced to face their fears. Not like all their fears are going to manifest, but in one way, shape, or form, they have to like confront it and like look it in the eye and shift regarding it, just to kind of help with, I suppose you could say the way they're quantifying it is like to help with a collective root chakra release in a sense, or healing. It's more just like collectively, like those fears are getting released. And it is for the better, of course, because then like what comes in to replace it is usually higher and better, like more light and things like that. But that's the main message I want to get for the collective. They wanted to get for the collective. So I'm going to move back to Prince Priestess again and see if there's anything else before I move on to the next question. Yeah, Arlie, your problem's coming out here, and I'm getting you have good things coming. That's what I'm hearing with this card. And I'm also, they're putting my eyes to the heart here, and they're just saying, trust your heart. I feel like a lot of the times you already know what you need to do. I would definitely own that. So I hope, is there anything else here? I don't know. I'm also getting miracles are on the way, which is good. So I hope that was helpful, Prince Priestess. I hope that was good for you. Let's see here. Any questions? What else would be best for me to get to next to here? Here, Leo Diaz, I emailed you about scheduling a sooner date. Did you get it? I did. I haven't had a chance to respond yet. I'm still trying to like work out my schedule the next week, but I will definitely get back to you soon here. So next question. Just me 33 asks, does Leanna have romantic feelings for me? I'm getting yes. I'm not 100% sure how strong they are, but I do feel like they're there. I would definitely be patient with that situation is something I'm getting. Try not to rush it just because I said yes, they have feelings for you if it's something that's newer, by the way. But yeah, don't rush that situation is what I'm getting. So I hope that helps. Hope that answered that. Annie Pandy Pie asks, how to best align with their highest self at this time? Excuse me, but I'm going to ask you to leave. So Annie Pandy Pie asks, how to best align with my highest self at this time? So what would be the best way for Annie Pandy Pie to ask with their highest self at this time here? Okay, what they're pretty much telling me for you first and foremost is inner healing work is what I'm getting, and I channel my spirit guides, the angels and source for anyone new who's listening. Fully for that's good. But yeah, it's inner healing. They were pointing to your sacral chakra and the heart chakra. So balancing your emotional fields is one thing I'm getting, and then also opening the heart chakra more, which will also lead to an intuition spike, is what they're showing me. So balancing your emotional fields, healing the heart chakra, is going to boost your intuition. And as you become more intuitive, you begin to live in a way that's more for the highest good, or you can, because you'll know what that is, if that makes sense. So I would definitely absolutely recommend honing your intuition or your channeling or whatever gifts and abilities you have, because that gives you that information of like, okay, what would be for the highest good? And you get that information, or you know which way to go that would be for the highest good based on you asking like, okay, would it be for the highest good for me to do this or do that? Would it be for the highest good for me to do this job or to do this job or build this business? And you'll kind of get the answer and you'll know which way to go, which helps to live in alignment with your highest self. I will throw out the advice because I think it's underutilized, is literally just ask. So if you want to live in alignment with your highest self, just ask like, okay, what will it take? Universe, source, you're infinitely intelligent, infinitely wise, you know everything, you're infinitely potent, infinitely capable to bring this about. What will it take for me to live in alignment with my highest self in the best ways right now? Like what would that look like? And when you're putting that question in, like when you're putting that question out there, ask and you will receive, you're gonna either have that energetic shift when you ask and you'll start doing it right away. You might have different events or messages come to you from other people, or maybe you sit down to watch a show and like there's a message that really resonates for you and it starts moving you in that direction, or things like line up where you start moving that direction automatically if you're willing to take the action steps that present themselves to do that. And it can be a combination where you feel the energetic shift and then all these things line up to get you there. Or maybe you get a healing session and you get a message. You know, there's a lot of things that could happen. So I'm going to offer that advice for you and for anyone else who's listening as well. Where if you want to best align with your highest self, like literally just ask to align with your highest self. And it sounds really simple because it is, but also it works. So, anyways. So what else would be highest must for you as far as aligning with your highest self at this time? What else would help you align with your highest self at this time? Another thing I'm getting for you that might help you, just another simple way to help you align with your high self, is just like take a break, like from everything if you can. I know you still have responsibilities and things you need to get to, and I'm not saying like drop all your responsibilities, but if you can take a break and like time, sometimes like just that alone time or that time for yourself can just help you get into alignment and help you start to realize things that you need for alignment. And sometimes, you know, when you're just running yourself ragged, you're not in alignment if you feel like you're doing that, and maybe someone else needs to hear that, but that's also another thing I'm getting that would be advice for you as far as how best to align with your highest self at this time here. Okay, another thing they're just talking about in general, interestingly enough, that they're showing me is like, yeah, you know, align your chakras and you align yourself. We kind of already talked about that because they were talking about sacral and heart chakra, which is going to help the third eye and intuition. But anywhere you can focus on alignment and make that a focus and not like hyper fixate on it, that's going to manifest more alignment in your life, if that makes sense. Even if it seems roundabout. So even just focusing on the chakra systems and aligning that could be a way to manifest more alignment with your highest self as well. Also, of course, like, and we kind of already covered this with asking, you will receive, but like mantras would be good. Like every day, like, okay, I'm highest aligned. I ask to align with my highest self. Thank you so much. Things like that. And you're just going to start gravitating to that. So I hope that helps and makes sense. I would recommend learning to channel or looking into automatic writing or something like that. That might be something that helps you align with your highest self, because then you're literally talking to your highest self. So hope that helps. Hope that was good for you. So let's go to the next question. Hope everyone's having a good day today. Um, AKA GR. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. How's it going? Asked anything for me, anything for them in this month in April. So anything for AKA GR this month of April. Let's see here. It's interesting because the first thing they're showing me is like a balloon and they're showing me floats. So with the float here, weirdly enough, like as one message, and if this makes any sense to you, I wouldn't like force yourself to do anything. I would weirdly like give yourself some time to float. You might want a specific direction, and if you have one, that's good, but I don't feel like you need a specific direction right now. I think in some ways you need time just to be, and I'm sensing a bit of a theme here in some of these readings that I'm doing today. But so anything else in this month of April for you here? Okay, Our Lady of the Star Blossom coming out here. So one thing that I am getting for you with this card is you are actually on a track to victory. But they are recommending, like, at the same time, like, hey, like, take time to just be as well with that. I do get things are turning around for you in your life, even if it's slowly. I really feel like at the end of the year, I know this isn't about April, but at the end of the year for you, you're going to be in a completely different place. I wish I had, well, I'll get more advice here. So you're going to be in a completely different place at the end of the year. Anything else you need to know about that or about April here? They're also like, they're showing me, like, they just showed like Mother Mary on the card here with like a camera, and they're talking about hobbies as well. So what's the message for you about hobbies? One thing I'm getting for you that would be good for you to do is like expanding your hobbies and exploring your hobbies is something they're talking about, and bringing more enjoyment in is what I'm getting. I feel like you're gonna have a much better time if you do that. Maybe you need to hear this too, but I feel like I already brought this through for an earlier person, but like life doesn't always need to be so serious as something I'm getting. Even with world events, it's okay to be enjoying your life even if there's crazy stuff happening on the news. Because like if everyone just started going, nuts about what was happening on the news and no one was allowing themselves to feel joy, like what would happen to the vibration on the earth if like everyone was hyper focused on this and in a rough place. So and it's okay if you're in that place, because like you're in that place, there's nothing wrong with that either, but it's more just like, if anyone needs to hear it, don't force yourself to be in a crappy place just because other people are in a crappy place, like either to fit in or because you're supposed to be because X, Y, and Z is happening. Like that's not always healthy. So anything else you need to know for April? I'm gonna pull another card here. Our Lady of Blessings bestowed here. So anything else you need to know besides you being on the right trajectory here? Okay, one thing I'm getting for you in April, which is good, is April's going to be the start of when you start seeing some shifts in your life but it's more like blessings. It's like positive shifts. But it's almost more like a breadcrumb trail. Like you get a blessing in April and you're like, oh, this is nice. But it like leads you kind of in this direction to another blessing in like, the next couple months. So let's see what the message is here. So you're going to be getting gifts from the universe, but it's like a breadcrumb trail over the next like few months where it's like a drip feed of like blessings over the next few months is what I'm getting, where like something comes in this month, something comes in the next month, or every 2 months or something like that as well here. There is a message as well for you, like you are a blessed being, and you're going to be seeing that more. Like you're not going to be down in the dumps is something I'm getting as well, which is good here. The other message that they're showing me is they're saying like, hey, don't be afraid to paint your life whatever color you want. Like your life isn't for other people. And they're showing like you with a paintbrush, like painting your life. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like dull and gray like everyone else. Like you can paint it whatever color you want. You can bring in whatever hobby you want, the people you want. So if you metaphorically have a specific color you want to paint your life, April might be a good month to look into like, what color do I want to paint my life, and start like going that direction more, if that makes sense. So anything else for you here? Again, they keep bringing me back to this message, which maybe it's more important than I think it is, but they're showing me this cloud and they're giving me the words like, don't be afraid to float. You don't have to have it all figured out, and like things are going to be okay. And sometimes floating gets you to the right outcome if you're not sure where to go. It's like, a cloud just kind of floats to wherever it needs to be to bring rain, to the ecosystem. A spirit animal that is showing up for you, interestingly enough, is rhino. And this is for April and beyond here. And they're showing me a rhino, but it has like helium balloons tied to it. So it's like floating just above the ground where it can't like really run. Thanks for the galaxy, Moraza. So what's the message here? At the right time, like this rhino, you're going to be grounded, like where this rhino can run, and like taking off. But sometimes you need to go an unconventional route to get to where you're supposed to be, and that's where the universe is leading you down. And you're going to be seeing that in April, and the next few months here. And again, by the end of the year, you'll be in a completely different month. So hopefully that makes sense for you as far as April, and just some of the messages for you for April. I want to see if there's anything more specific for you before we part ways. Okay, Our Lady of Sweet Rest. Again, sensing a theme. They were saying take time just to be. I would take time for you. The other thing, like with this Hand of Fate here, it's like a charm, but it's on the card. I'm pretty sure that's like the Hand of Fatima or something like that. But that signifies divine intervention. They're kind of saying like you're going to be having divine intervention, especially over June, July, August for you. That's going to be very strong in your life. So don't worry if everything doesn't look like how you want it to look right now. It's going to start moving that direction. A little bit in the future, maybe not like tomorrow, but a little bit in the future is what I'm getting here. But yeah, I would definitely take time to rest this month as well. But so that's it. I hope that was helpful for you, aka GR. I hope that brought some good information for you. I hope you're having a good rest of your day too. Whoop. All right. Oh my gosh, here. Alicia Teague 4 asked, should I take my ex-husband back? I'm getting no. My guides were like, no, absolutely not. It's okay if you do, but it's not worth it, if that makes sense. Like, you'll be okay. Not the worst thing that could happen. I don't really get it's what you want, and it might be what you... When I clarify it, let me clarify. When I say it might not be what you want, it doesn't mean there's a part of you... It doesn't mean there's not a part of you that wants that on some level, but it's more like what you actually want. Like, what do you deeply desire in life? And like, what do you actually want for yourself and your experience? Like, it's not fully going to lead to that, if that makes more sense. I do get there's better for you. What I get with what I'm getting, I recommend moving on personally. But of course, absolutely up to you. Gabby La asked, should I transfer to a new school? Interestingly enough, I'm getting no. Love the good vibes here. Just wanted to say thank you, Pokey Vibes. I appreciate it. How's it get even better than that? Gabby La. So I was getting no, interestingly enough. For some reason, I'm getting it's not the best choice. I would recommend staying where you're at for another year, is what I'm getting. I get that would likely lead to the best outcome, so I hope that helps you, Gabby La. I feel like I think you're good right where you are. Let's see here. So next question here. Excuse me. Positively Wicked asked, they said they're feeling so lost lately. Any direction for you here? All right, so I'm going to see if they get more specific information as well. That might help you as well, because the first message I'm getting, and I don't mean to sound trite, but it's what they're saying, is within. And for anyone new listening, they is my spirit guides, the angels, and source. So let's see here. This is forcing you to go within, essentially, is what I'm getting. And another message I'm getting for you, interestingly enough, is you're supposed to feel potentially a little bit lost in this time period, not forever, just for this time period, so you go the way you're supposed to go. And sometimes when you feel lost, you're just getting to where you're supposed to go. And I feel like I've used this analogy the past few lives, but it's coming up again, where it's like, it was from an Alan Watts speech or something that I listened to, and I don't listen to a ton of Alan Watts. It's been years, but one of his speeches was like, when water is trickling and flowing like along the earth, like in a trickle, like from a garden hose, and it hits like a patch of the earth where it can't go anywhere, it's like walled in, what happens is the water stays where it is and rises until it can go. And so like sometimes when you're just like stuck, it's like you're in that position where you go within and gain the clarity and rise until you know which way to go, or the universe might usher you in a specific way while you're feeling lost so you get to the right place for you, is something I'm getting for you and your situation right now here. Something that might help you in general would be abundance meditations, like any type of guided meditation that has to do with increasing your abundance. And I would look into increasing and expanding your abundance. Because, abundance can mean so many different things to each of us. The frequency of abundance tends to be pretty much one thing that I channeled through when I channeled on abundance is like, there is the frequency of abundance, like that has a specific vibration, or maybe there's multiple levels of it or vibrations of it. But that frequency of abundance can be there for each of us in a way that resonates most for us. So one thing that might be helpful for some of you listening is like getting clear on what abundance means to you, because it's like, is financial abundance included in your definition of abundance, along with like loving relationships, like just getting clear on what abundance really is for you and when you feel most abundant and when that frequency feels most prevalent. But a sense of direction, if that's something that feels like abundance to you, where like you feel like you're on your purpose and you have your sense of direction, that could be, interestingly enough, like a form of abundance. And beyond that, abundance would just help, is something I'm getting as well. So it's more like opening yourself up to abundance too. And that can, weirdly enough, either help with the direction or just help you feel a bit more solid, is something I'm getting. So beyond that, so any messages on your purpose, any messages that would help you feel less lost or at this time. So they started playing this song, and it was a song by Dream Theater, and it was the song goes like, tear down these walls for me. And it's pretty much a dude singing about like, tearing down his walls that he built up around himself. So let's see here. It's time, here's the phrase they're giving me, it's time to heal any walls you've built. I don't mean like healing the wall, I mean knocking the walls down or lowering some of those walls, or barriers of entry that not everyone, if you have a boundary for specific people, like keep that up, like for the highest good, but any barriers you've put up to people entering your life that don't need to be there, that you're ready to heal and let go of. I don't think you need that right now, but I feel like that you doing that is coming up, or like it's a good time to do that for yourself. Coming up is something I'm getting as well for you. I'm going to pull a card too on this. Our Lady of Innocence coming out here as your card. This is the Mother Mary Oracle card deck by Alana Fairchild, by the way. So what is the message for you here with this card? Okay. Pretty much what they are showing me with this card is very similar to what I was getting earlier with the Alan Watts analogy with the water. It's like, I do get like you are going to be lifted up, so you do know which way to go. That's one thing that they're showing me with this card, is like Mother Mary like lifting you up so you know which way to go, or the divine lifting you up so you know which way to go. And I'm guessing this is just going to be a theme that everyone needs today, or a lot of people need today, because take time for you, I feel like has come out of my mouth for like every reading or every other reading I've done so far for this live. So I would definitely take note of that if you feel like that applies to you, anyone listening. But beyond that, what would help you right now with what you're going through? Okay, again, like the advice is coming through for you, like don't listen to other people, listen to yourself. You'll feel a lot less lost if you do that. And it might be a little bit different if you're seeking out like channeled or intuitive advice from someone. I think that's a bit different, but like sometimes you have people in your life that don't want to see you there, you know what I mean? I don't think you need to worry about that too much, but for some reason that's coming through as well. Beyond that, like, what's your purpose this lifetime here? So one thing I'm getting for you for your purpose is to heal, to transform, and to inspire. So in a sense, it is about healing yourself. And it doesn't mean you have to become a healer if you don't want to be, but like to be a healing force. But it's also to transform. And that's about transforming yourself. Like, one of your purposes is like learning to transform yourself this lifetime and kind of rebuild your engine and how you operate and how your life works. And then beyond that, it's getting to a point where you're inspiring others, like as an example. And that's not your entire purpose in life. That's what I'm getting as a message about your purpose. Don't ever limit your purpose to just like one thing someone says, but those are some of your purposes I'm getting for you this lifetime. So is there anything regarding that you can do that would help you feel less lost? And what I'm getting is like, well, not necessarily, because right now you need to kind of heal and elevate. And so maybe this is part of your purpose is transforming through you feeling lost. Not quite, actually. But so any other messages for you before I move on here? One thing you are supposed to do is go your own way, not get caught up in the crowd. I don't always feel good about just saying like, yeah, everyone quit their 9 to 5. I think there's something to that at the same time though. Like it's good to examine, like, is this really for me? But I feel like you're supposed to do your own thing. You're not supposed to be following the crowd or doing the conventional thing. And some people can find more stability not doing the conventional thing than doing the conventional thing. And like, if you kind of look at the world and like life right now, like a lot of those things are being upended and turned on their head, where it's like, there might be more stability in something unconventional if you feel called to that. So you're definitely someone who is meant to more forge their own path and do their own thing or go their own way. You don't need to live a conventional life. So I think that would help as well, as at least sitting with that and seeing like what resonates for you as far as anything like that. So hopefully any of that helps right now as far as advice or as messages for you. Ooh, I accidentally hit the, okay. Stephanie Goff Studio, you did not miss any collective reading, though there was like some random collective messages that were coming through in the middle of readings I was doing for other people. So next message here. Journey, Light, Love, Faith S. Is the direction that they have taken going to be prosperous? I'm getting yes. Don't be afraid to let it adjust or expand. It's what I'm getting for you is like, it's the start, not the end. So don't keep yourself stuck in the beginning phases of it. Like, let it evolve essentially. So hopefully that answers that for you. You are going to be successful, by the way. Journey, Light, Love, Faith is, they're saying like, you are going to be successful. Just make sure you're putting in the work. You're going to get there if you put in the work. Hope that helps. That's the message I get for you. All right. So let me see what the next question is that they want me to answer. Nala TBH, sorry if I mispronounced that, asked, is their work situation going to improve for them? Yes, I would potentially recommend or look into changing careers or job paths. I do get that will lead to a better result. That's the information, that's the recommendation I'm getting for you regarding your question. So the answer for you is yes, it's going to improve, but be patient and make some changes. And don't be afraid to like ask for what you need, both directly at work and from the universe, essentially, like with manifesting or anything out like that. Like they're recommending like, hey, like write out your dream job. Like, how do you want to feel at work? Like, what does it look like? At least try like writing that out and just, how much do you want to make? And of course you can always say like this or better. Like I'd like to make I don't know, 80,000 a year or better. And just see what shows up when you're putting that out there in that direction here. The other message I'm getting for you is you're kind of rearranging yourself as you change career paths. So it is like a self-improvement trajectory, even though it might just look like a job change on the surface. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps for you. But that's what I'm getting for you. Oh, thanks, China Moon Girl. I forgot I made you a moderator. So, hey, shout out to the moderators, China Moon Girl, anyone else who's here that I haven't seen yet. They really make the lives go smoother, and they help, take care of chat when I'm busy answering questions. So big shout out to them. Be sure to show the mods some love. I really appreciate their help. Absolutely. Next, let me see what they want to answer next here. Kaylee MM asks, any messages from their guides here? So any messages for you from your guides here? Interestingly enough, the first thing I'm hearing for you is like, hey, like you're waking up. And sometimes when you're waking up more strongly or rapidly, that can be a bit disconcerting is something they're talking about. So you might have news or events that wake you up further that might seem alarming at the time, but in hindsight, you'll see it was part of your awakening is what I'm getting first and foremost for you here. I do get your intuition is expanding, which is good. Because they're showing me like that indigo light by the third eye and it's like expanding, and they're saying your intuition is expanding. And that's a good direction to go, is like honing that in, working on that, doing things that work with your intuition. That's only going to help you in life overall is what I'm getting. And you're someone who can do that. You have the capability to live very intuitively. Another message they have for you is like, hey, like be as heart-centered as you can be at this time, like with people around you. And they're giving me this message like, they know, like for people around you, the message they're saying is like, they know not what they say. Because some people do just kind of like spout shit. Sorry, I shouldn't swear on TikTok, sorry. But sometimes people just like say things, and they don't even know why they're saying it. They're just kind of going with like what they were taught, or they're just regurgitating information their friends said, or they're saying things that they think their tribe would accept of, and they just kind of try and like stay in that confined place. So it's more a message to like, hey, like remain heart-centered with people. Some people just aren't there. It's okay. Like let it go. You'll be better for it. And try not to get stuck in the mud with those people. If you feel like you encounter any people like that, where it's just like arguing back and forth, like sometimes like if something happens, like the example they're showing me is like, sometimes it's better to just be like, stay in your heart and be like, hey, I'm sorry you feel that way, and just like move on. You don't have to fix everything. So any other messages from your guides for this time? We are pulling a card, Our Lady of Becoming. So one message I'm getting for you with this card is stepping out of the old self. They're showing me and giving me those words and saying that. I feel like for you with the upcoming summer months, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's winter, June, July, August. You might be a little bit uncomfortable just because you're kind of shedding the old skin, so to speak, the old aspects of you. And you are kind of stepping up into a new beginning this year. In the next few months is something I'm getting as well, which is good. But I would not be afraid to let go of the old you and become someone entirely different. That doesn't make you a chameleon. It just means you're growing really quickly is something I'm getting. So another thing here, like the amount of red on this card is really jumping out at me. So I want to see what the message is with that for you, if any. It is about passion, but what they're saying is like, it's about passion, but that's where she's headed. So making the steps towards your passions are going to be really good for you. That's definitely a good direction to go, is a direction that has you feeling more passionate in a good way, essentially. And that's where you're headed already. So I wouldn't surprise me if you're already just like making those moves. But anything else for you that would be for your eyes good right now? Mm. Okay, the other message that they're saying is like you're going to blossom. This year is going to be a really interesting year of change for you. But on the other side of that here, what's on the other side of that for you? Like there's more passion, there's more of what you want. You're closer to what you dream of if you're willing to go that direction here. And one thing I'm getting to recommend for you is something to manifest or ask for, is like to ask for growth, like ask for your own growing. And it doesn't have to be difficult. I know sometimes like challenges are things that grow us or build strength or have us, stronger. But I do feel like it doesn't have to be that way. That's a message my guides have said, is like, it doesn't have to be difficult. Like things can be easy or easier or full of ease and grace. But there is a recommendation to ask for it, because sometimes we're trained into thinking things have to be hard when they really don't. And if you find yourself in a position where things are just hard, like, that's where you're at. That's okay. Like ask for ease and grace, ask for the best way forward, ask how it gets better than that. See what happens. But it doesn't have to be difficult. So they're just recommending that you ask for growth. Another message for you is that you're magical. You have a lot more magic to you than you realize, essentially. And you're going to be learning that over the next couple of years here, is like how to work with that and like what that is and what that means. You're definitely not here to be an average person. Oh, thank you so much for the gift, whoever that was. Sorry, I didn't see your name. But yeah, you're definitely not here to be average. So I hope that helps, Kaylee. I get this weird message like you're going to be winning. What does that mean for you, Kaylee? You're going to be winning here. If you feel like you've been losing a lot, or before you've been like lose, like this relationship falls apart, this friendship breaks apart, this thing doesn't go well, you're going to be on the other side where you're like winning, and like you've learned how to win and how to maintain more of a winning stance in life. So I hope that helps and makes sense. But I hope you're having a good day out there. So let's see what they want me to get to next for you. Liza E328 asks, are they on the right path? Are they tapping into their gifts? Yes, you're on the right path. You are starting to tap into your gifts. There's also more for you, essentially. You do have more gifts on the way to tap into that are for you, which is pretty much it. So anything else on that? And you are going to be tapping into your gifts more fully if you don't feel like you are, essentially, is what I'm getting. So anything else you need to know while we're still here? So similar message came through for someone earlier, but I'm getting it for you as well, where it's like, hey, they're showing me jade, like the crystal jade. And jade can typically symbolize like, good health, wealth, good luck, abundance. I do feel like that would be a good crystal for you, or something with those meanings, like tiger eye has similar meanings in some ways. But also like it's time to call in abundance is something I was getting. And I also get this message, like the more you're honing in your connection, and by connection, they're showing me like connection to source, to your spirit guides, to the angels, like the more abundant you're going to be. That's something that can really expand for you. This is something that can really expand your abundance and help you to be more abundant and live a more abundant lifestyle, and even just feel more abundant. So I would definitely keep working on that if that makes sense. And don't give up if, like, especially if you're just beginning or just starting out, like don't give up right away, if that makes sense. I hope that helps. I would also like look into your throat chakra is something they were saying, like look into balancing your throat chakra, like a throat chakra meditation or something on YouTube to help with that. That might help open things up more too. All right, so next message here for you guys, or not for you guys, but whoever's next here. Well, maybe it's for you guys. I think sometimes there's messages for everyone in the personal questions I'm answering to, or the personal readings I'm doing. Let's see here. Okay, Zenden Melissa. Did I already answer a question for you? I don't think I did. Anyways, doesn't matter. What is blocking them right now here? Interestingly enough, like they're saying something like the words like the truth, like she needs to open up to the truth, or you need to open up to the truth. And I'm sorry if your pronouns are she, her. But they're indicating like the more you're willing to open up to the truth of any situation, the less you're going to be blocked, essentially, with anything. So if you're willing to see the truth and ask for it, and maybe even be the truth, if that resonates for you, you're going to find yourself unstuck pretty easily is one thing I'm getting first and foremost here. So anything else so what is blocking her, send in Melissa right now besides that here? Another message I'm getting for you regarding this topic is like, I'm getting this message like, don't stay loyal. So let me clarify that. You can stay loyal to yourself and to like source and the divine, what feels right to you intuitively, but don't stay loyal to the wrong people or people who treat you like crap, just to have friends around, or people who just like consistently mess up is what I'm getting. And I don't mean like people who have accidents, but people who like mess up their connection with you. Like they're just constantly like doing something. Like I wouldn't stay loyal to the stuff that drags you back is pretty much what I'm getting as a message right now. As far as like what would help you be unblocked. I don't feel like there's a whole lot blocking you besides that. I also feel like in general, just like learning and growing is going to get you unstuck, and that might sound a little bit boring, but I think sometimes the answer isn't very fantastical, and sometimes it really is, but that's just another thing I'm kind of getting is like, if you're willing to learn and grow and see the truth, like there's not going to be a whole lot that's blocking you long term. Anything else you need to know about regarding blocks or things like that here? I'd say like another thing that I want to say for you that's coming through is don't limit yourself. Like don't limit what's possible for you. Don't limit what you can become. Don't limit how things can turn around for you. And like once you've had a few experiences of things like manifesting in your life in like a big way, or you get out of like a situation you weren't sure how you were going to get out of, or things like that, like once you see how that's possible, like you tend not to limit things as much is something I'd say. But no situation in your life is unescapable from is one thing I'm getting. Like there might be situations you don't want to escape from. There might be situations like you have to work through, but it's possible to get your way out of any situation you don't want to be in right now is something I'm getting as well. So anything else that would be important for you to know? And they're kind of saying that's it, but I'll see if there's anything else to say close out. But I hope that's helpful for you, Zenda and Melissa. Hope that brought through any messages that would be for your highest good. So what else would be highest message for me to bring through? Or what would be highest message for me to answer next here? Am I getting the right dreams, goals? Is Little Snap Crackle chasing the right dreams and goals? So yes and no. For right now, you're chasing exactly what you need to be chasing. They're showing me like a dog at a park. I think, no, it's a cow on your profile picture. But they're showing me a dog in a park, and it's like chasing like all these other dogs. Or like, sometimes how a dog will chase like a bunch of geese, and then the geese scatter, and the dog's like not sure which way to go. So let me see exactly what they mean with this message here. Okay, so right now you're chasing exactly what you're supposed to be chasing. It's going to evolve and change and elevate. Pretty much what I'm getting for you is like keep chasing exactly what you want and don't take no for an answer. And if what you want changes, that's okay. Like adjust accordingly. Because I feel like in some ways, like with what you're chasing, like the universe is like you're being led on this like dog chase in a sense, but it takes you to exactly what you want in the long term if you keep going for it. And there's other things for you that haven't come in yet, like haven't come into your life. So I think that's part of where the yes and no answer comes in to like, are you chasing the right dreams and goals? Is there's other things for you that haven't presented themselves yet that like, that once they do, you're like, oh, that's it. So that's why they want you to keep chasing what you're chasing right now. It leads to what you're supposed to be chasing. And don't get distracted by things that are shiny that aren't what you want. What do I mean by that? Like if your goal is to live in a cottage in the woods and live off grid, and that like just feels so light and good to you whenever you check into it energetically, don't get distracted by the Ferrari and the penthouse in Dubai, you know, if that makes sense. Like it's shiny, it looks cool, but like, does that speak to your soul? And I don't feel like you will do that, but for some reason that's like a message that they want to say for you. So overall, yes. I think I dragged that answer more than I needed to, but overall, yes, is what I'm getting for that. So anything else that would be for highest good this time here? Oh, thanks for the hand hearts. Who sent that? Little Snap Crackle, I appreciate it. So Ni10 asked, do I have a divine counterpart in this kind? So do they have a divine counterpart in this incarnation? Oh, yes. And I feel like the definition of what that is what we need to work on, if that makes sense. Maybe not you in particular, but maybe people in general. But yes, you do. You definitely do have people you're supposed to encounter, people you're supposed to be with. I also want to give the advice, like, there is more than one viable option for you, and you're going to get the right one, especially if like you're working on yourself and you're working to become the person that person's attracted to. And maybe that's not the best advice. Maybe the best advice is work on you and becoming the person you want to be. And that will, you know, the person you want to be, or the true you is going to attract what's for you, if that makes sense. So work on being that true you and the person you want to be, which is the true you, I would say. And you're going to start to attract people who are more like your divine counterpart or who fit that bill. I feel like there's more than one person who can fit that bill, though, if that makes sense. And that's where the definition can get a little bit fuzzy, is like, is there just this one specific person that we're supposed to be with and everything has to align perfectly no matter what, and we're going to meet this person? Sometimes I think it depends on the person and their life path. But sometimes there's more than one aligned soulmate, or there's more than one person who can embody that twin flame energy, if that's what you're going for. And now I'm going to confuse people. So to me, twin flame is just it's the same soul incarnate and two people at the same time frame on Earth. And it's like, you know, you have multiple lifetimes, like past lives, future lives. So like, and your soul can incarnate in multiple instances at the same time. So you can your soul can incarnate into people at the same time. So to me, that's what the definition of twin flame is. As far as like the twin flame love thing, I really think it's a lot different than a lot of people say it is. Every time I check in with my guides, they're like, it's so much different than people say it is or think it is. So try not to get wrapped up in that. Like, I would maybe even open to like, what was the highest and best option for me? Universe, show me that, bring that to me. And then like that can present itself, whether it's twin flame or soulmate or just something else entirely. And the spiritual community hasn't developed a word for it yet. I don't know, but because why are we limiting it? But short answer, yes. Don't worry about it too much. Focus on yourself. You're going to be calling the right person in, and you will meet them. You will meet the person that's your divine counterpart. But there's a couple people that fit that bill, so I hope that helps. Well, was there another way I should clarify that answer before I move on here? I don't know. Energetically, I feel weird about your guys' reaction to what I just said, or someone's reaction to what I just said. Like, I feel a little bit weird after I said all that. So I want to see if there's anything I can say to clarify further or help. Pretty much what I'm getting is like, there isn't just one person. There never was. Sometimes there's like a really specific person you're supposed to have that certain people have. But does that make it more special than, you know, you meeting that aligned person that's right for you, that you called in? It doesn't have to be. So I don't know. Hope that helps. I just want to mate you. I hear that. I mean, I'm dating someone right now, actually, but I hear that is what I'm trying to say. Okay, let me see what they want me to answer next. I might lose connection there for a second. Okay, I'm back. Little Red Wolf asked, will I have a safe place of my own to live soon? Will they have a safe place of their own to live soon? You will have a safe place of your own to live. Yes, I do get that. It'll come. I'm getting it'll come. So I hope that helps. It might not be right away, but I do feel like it's sooner rather than later. I do get it sooner rather than later. MC 831203, anything for them today? Next move, rest. What would be highest and best for MC 831203 here? I guess we're pulling a card here. Our Lady of Sacred Waters coming out here. The word I'm getting is restoration, interestingly enough here. So let's see here. I mean, as far as rest, like, yeah, I don't feel like that's like the main message for the month. It's like, yeah, make sure you're getting enough rest. And maybe like a bit more than usual if you feel like you need it. I don't feel like that's the main message for right now, right now though. The main message for you with this card and just in general, that would be for your highest good here. It's more like, it's not necessarily rest, it's a restoration. Like, I think sometimes I think good rest is restorative. I think sometimes we can rest and like it doesn't really restore us. So what would help you with restoration though? Excuse me. Okay, what I'm getting more is the message for you with this card is like renewing your life and like making things new. So yeah, it's about healing, it's about restoration, and it's about rest, but it's like, where do you need renewal in your life or like a refresh? And how can you bring that in? Like, do you need to go out and meet new people? Do you need to take a second to reevaluate your priorities? Maybe you do a little bit, is maybe not in a huge way, but maybe a little bit is what I'm getting. Beyond that, what else is the message for you here? So same card. Any messages for MC, a string of numbers? Hey, Nikki, Healer of Souls, how's it going? I lost your question, but I know. Next move. So what would be a good next move for you at this time here? Now is a good time to like, the visual they're showing me for you, MC, is they're showing like someone popping like the hood on their car and like looking at their engine. Like, it's a good time to examine like how you're operating and what's running the show. Like, for example, like a lot of times when the engine equation pops up, that can be about examining your belief systems and like where you're coming from on things. I don't feel like it's necessarily about belief systems. It's more like you. It's more like rearranging you, and like reprioritizing what you're putting your focus on at this time would be good. So I want to keep going back to restoration here. You might want to do a visual or like a guided meditation where it's like, maybe like you see yourself like venturing into these restorative waters or like this ocean, and watching yourself be revitalized and restore. Because like one of the messages I'm getting for you is like you do have a new direction coming, and as you take some of that time to revitalize, not your whole month, but you know, some time, it starts to dawn on you what that is, and you start to move that direction. Because like the visual they're showing me, like you start walking into this water, and all of a sudden there's like sailboats and like boats like kind of zooming by, and like you want to get on one of the boats and like hop on and like go in this new direction. So you're gonna be headed in a new direction. Right now, I'd take some time to revitalize and like get what that is, if that makes sense. I do feel like it has to do with business. They're giving me the word business. There might be a new idea coming for you, or a key that like unlocks some ideas for you or unlocks some success for you that So what's this key about? It's showing me a key. It's the key that unlocks the idea so that you can be successful. And you have that key, it's just you need to utilize it. And revitalizing helps you utilize it. Hope that makes any sense to you, as far as like what you can do about this and about that at this time here. One of the things they're putting my eyes to on this card is like on the side here on the border, there's like this, if you can see it on the camera, there's like this like vine crawling up on it. And what is the message with that here, with the vine here? And I do get this message like you're going to grow like a vine, like things might start out small, but vines can kind of become huge if they keep going and they keep wrapping around, you know, things, and they can kind of keep like spreading and expanding. So I wouldn't limit your growth. I feel like you have the capability to be pretty big this lifetime regarding that. I'm getting like, especially with business. So I don't know if you've been focusing on business or if you wanted to start a business, but maybe that's something to think about and look into as well. But I hope that was helpful for you. Hope that helped. Hope you're having a good day out there. I'm going to keep going with this here. The brutally honest blonde asked, is Kirsten their forever person? Is Cody a lesson? I'd say in some ways they're both a lesson, but that doesn't mean like, because when I answer your question, give me a second. When you ask, is Kirsten your forever person? When I read that, my body pendulum goes, no, yes. They have so the way my guides are clarifying it is they have the potential to be a very long-term partner. I feel like they're a really good person for you. I wouldn't necessarily give up on that. But, you know, sometimes there can be lessons in those relationships too, you know? Sometimes. Is Cody a lesson? I don't know, like, weirdly enough, my body pendulum is going like, I mean, yes, like, he was a lesson, but I'm also getting like, there's more to it. Like, he was definitely there for your growth and to show you things about yourself. So in some ways, like maybe it was more than a lesson, if that makes sense. So anyway, what would be the highest way for me to clarify this further here? Like, he was just someone who was there to teach you what you want. And you, I guess if you quantify that as a lesson, then like, yeah, you could call him a lesson. But I just feel like it was a bit more than that. And I'm not, let me see if they explain it a bit more deeply here. Because he was like the manure that grows your fields. And I'm not trying to call him poop. I'm so sorry if Cody's out there listening. But that's kind of the way they're quantifying it. So I hope that helps. I hope that clarifies that for you. Sacred Sapphire 82 asked, is the business that they're thinking about the right one? Weirdly enough, I'm getting it's a good one to try, but it's not the right one necessarily. My body pendulum's going to know on it. I wouldn't give up on like business in general. It's definitely a good thing to try and learn from, and it can definitely go somewhere, but I don't feel like it's going to be the overall, like, yeah, this is it. That's what I'm getting for you, Sacred Sapphire, on that one. I hope that helps. But I do feel called to encourage you to keep going with business and keep going with it. The brutally honest blonde, that makes sense. Yes, thank you. You're welcome. Awesome. Glad to hear it. You're welcome, Sacred Sapphire. I hope that helped. Katerina asked, will their panic attacks go away? Eventually you're going to have it way under wraps, essentially. I would definitely try to hone your tool set to help deal with those and to help cope with those. Because you will heal and get it to a better place. and you'll be able to get the tools to help yourself with it. And eventually that does help it rescind. So you definitely can get to a healed place with it, or at least a place where it's under wraps and it's not like ruining your life or anything, or like getting in the way of you functioning, if that makes sense. So I suppose if I were to simplify the answer, it's yes, but I don't know if I would just like give up and expect it to go away necessarily. I'd look into like what are the tools and modalities and things I can work with to help with this. I hope that helps. Okay. Angie Boo asked, what do they need to work on to progress on their path? So interestingly enough, and maybe this is just a common message today as well, but emotional healing would be great. That's not the only thing, by the way, but that's like the first thing that they're talking about. So what else would help? What else do you need to work on to progress on your path here? Fully for your highest good here. So they're showing like a map rolling out, and the first message they're giving me with this map is like, make a choice. And it's for you, what I'm getting is like, you don't need to know the right direction. You just need to know a direction, and like then the right direction will present itself. So it's kind of like, if you're not sure what to do, like make a choice. As you do that, like the right direction will present itself, if that makes sense. There's a message for you as well, like you can't mess up your life. Like you might think you can, but you can't. Like the universe can kind of turn anything around. And I'm not saying like, obviously like this, I need to give my like don't be stupid disclaimer, where it's like don't jump off a bridge, unless don't do something blatantly dumb just because I said that. And I know most of you listening won't, if not all of you, but that being said, like if you're doing your best and you're just doing your best to make the best choices possible, like it's going to be pretty difficult to mess things up, essentially, is what I'm getting for you. So another thing that can help you to like progress your path is just like make a choice, and then like know the right choice will present itself. So beyond that, anything else that would help you here? I would also just be like, just a quick piece of advice for you, like just be calling upon like Source and the angels like every day to help you, or your spirit guides. That can actually lift more burdens and obstacles than we realize if we ask for help, for the highest good from the other side. That can really help ease our path. So that's another thing that they want to recommend for you, as just a quick thing that can help you work on and progress on your path here. Beyond that here, I know I kind of brought through like for the April energy update that I did, or some of the channel messages on April I was getting, like April's a good month for like self-reflection and kind of going within. But that is another thing that they're kind of showing me. Like I would take like an hour like a week to just like reflect and like journal, and just kind of dig into things that have presented themselves. I think sometimes when we like go hunting for like shadow work, or like we're constantly like looking at that, we're constantly like trying to go, like you're just like sticking yourself in the darkness or the shadow, and like you don't have to live there. Like you can just be good, or be where you're at, and like let things come up and present themselves. As like, if you're open to the healing, let things that need to come up at the right times to be worked on, or to be healed, or to be looked at and worked on, instead of just like sticking yourself into the shadow and like constantly be like shadow work, because it's like, you don't need to live there. You don't need to like live miserably. But beyond that, I would take time to like self-reflect each like week, like an hour or so, and just like journal on the week, like journal on anything that came up. And as you start to do that, like even just you start to shift, because you're putting your awareness on things and expanding your awareness on what's going around you more consciously. And much like a gratitude journal can have your awareness put on gratitude throughout your day to day, and you're just more like rewired to focus on what you're grateful for. Like sometimes like that self-reflection can like have you be more aware of your day to day, where you're like more aware of what's going on, if that makes sense, because you've been reflecting on those things and looking at the patterns and things like that. So anything else that would help you progress at this time here? If you haven't learned how to channel, that is coming through as a piece of advice for you as well. is like maybe look into automatic writing as well. Maybe that can be part of your self-reflection. That can be a good way to just start to open up to that and open up to that higher guidance. 'Cause I feel like you can be very divinely guided if you don't feel like you are already. And that would also help like progress your path as well. So anything else that you need to work on to help progress on your path here? I'm not sure why abundance is coming up so much this live, or for these readings, but like sometimes just looking at abundance and abundance quote unquote issues can also be part of like growing ourselves as people and like overcoming things. So they were almost talking about looking at abundance as well and like what you want to call in. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but it might also be the case where it's like sometimes like you moving forward is you working on things where it's like maybe there's not so much to like sit and like work on as much as like move forward and like work on things as they present themselves, or that is you working on yourself as you moving forward and working on the things that show up as you do so. So hopefully that helps and brings some good information for you. The first thing I was getting was emotional healing. The second thing was like making a choice and like letting the right one present itself, and anything else that's important for you to know here. I feel like for some reason I'm getting working on abundance is your path. That sounds a bit, I don't want to restrict your path to just working on abundance, but that might be something that's really helpful for you. And as you work on that, that helps you progress on your path. So I hope that helps, Angie Boo. Hope that was good for you, and gave you some good information for you. Finding Joy 412 asks, will they find a fulfilling job soon? You will find a fulfilling job. I'm not 100% sure if it's soon. I feel like it can be. I feel like that possibility is there. But I feel like there's a few more things you're working on that will allow that possibility to present itself more strongly. Like some certain things with your belief system was what they're showing me. Certain things with like, you know, what's possible. So I do feel like you absolutely will get a fulfilling job or some source of income that works for you that is fulfilling. And I'm not saying you won't or can't have that, because absolutely you can. But what I'm getting for you is there might be just a few more things to work through before you have that coming up here. So can we get a time frame on when you'll have a fulfilling job here? Like I'm kind of getting like next year is like a strong possibility. They're saying especially next year. So next year is a strong possibility for like coming into that fulfilling job. And I'm not going to limit you and say it can't come sooner. That's just what I'm getting for you when I check in about if you'll find a fulfilling job soon. But I do also get the possibilities are going to start presenting themselves where there will be more possibilities for that, for more people to have a fulfilling source of income. I do feel like the universe is moving that direction, and there might be certain things happening in the world you'll have to work around, or let me see what they're saying here. But I'd say possibilities are expanding. They're not really contracting. So as the years progress, more people are going to have an easier time getting a fulfilling job anyways, if that makes sense. Like the possibilities are going to be a lot more open. So I hope that helps. And you will find a fulfilling job, I'm getting. So hope that helps. All right, so who would be best to do next? Anna Starborn asked, should they cut ties with their mom's chosen family? I would halfway do that. I would definitely keep your distance. I kind of get it's not for you. Oh, thank you for the music notes, Cyberbus, which is a cool username, by the way. Should you cut ties with your mom's chosen family? So it's kind of like a halfway answer, like half cut ties with them, or distance yourself. I don't really feel like they are your people, and don't force yourself to be around them if you don't have to be. There's definitely better for you. Because I don't know if it's people like you're stuck being around. I don't feel like it is. actually when I check in, but there's just definitely better for you. Don't force yourself to be around them. So I hope that makes sense. I would distance yourself. I would hold boundaries. It's okay if they're around sometimes, but don't feel like you need to stay in that. I hope that helps. Okay. Let's see what else would they want me to get to here. Okay. Hopeful Gale asked, are they moving in the right direction for their highest good? I'm guessing we're going to say highest good. Mostly is what I'm getting. Or it's like it's another kind of like, not like half and half. I don't think it's quite like directly down the middle, but it's more like there's a lot of ways you are. I feel like for you, hopefully, Gail, there actually are things that would be good for you to cut off that would help you out more, like just certain habits or just certain ways of viewing the world that might be a bit more pessimistic is what I'm getting. I feel like that would help you transform. But for the most part, you're doing really well and moving in that direction. Anything else you need to know about that, or just in general, that would be for your highest good? Hopeful Gale. Another message I'm getting for you is like, don't stress. Like, don't overly stress about things. Like, try not to be a worrywart or anything like that. Because everything does always pan out. And when I say that, I'm not saying like everything always goes the exact way that you want it to go in the moment. But what I am getting as a message is like, things have a way of panning out. And like, even if you're really stressed about something, like usually something always comes to like help, or something always comes to like save the day or to get you in the right direction or to help you out. So try not to worry overly much when you don't need to. I would try to, I'm not someone who usually says the phrase like focus on the positive. I usually tend towards the phrase like, okay, what would be for the highest good? Or like, what would be for the highest good for me to focus on? But I am getting that phrase for you, like focus on the positive. And like the good in your life, like what brings you joy. Because that will be more uplifting, and that will also help you move in the direction that's for your highest good more easily. So I hope that helps, hopefully, Gail. And I also want to say you're a good person for some reason. Like that's coming through as a message, like you're a good person. Let's see what would be best for me to get to next here. Tiffy Lou 82 asked, 182, Tiffy Lou 182 asked, is it okay that they're keeping to themselves lately? Absolutely. Let me see what they have to say here. I don't know if I'd make a habit out of it forever, but there's like nothing wrong with that at all. For some reason, I'm getting this advice like, hey, like try to reach out to like one person you feel called to reach out to, if anyone. If you don't feel like you have anyone you want to reach out to, like I would trust yourself and listen to yourself. Because in some ways it's kind of like your like a caterpillar metamorphosizes in a cocoon and becomes a butterfly. Like you're kind of going through that metamorphosis. So it's like, it's definitely okay to pull back and like reassess and like just be with yourself. And you need that a lot right now. Just for some reason, I'm getting a recommendation for you, like, don't make it your life, like 10 years from now, or even like 2 years from now. Like, take some time, come back out when you're ready. But for some reason, I'm getting this message like, hey, like try to keep in contact with like one person. I'm not sure what that's about, but hopefully that makes sense to you and it's helpful for you. Okay. Thanks for the water reminder, guys. I'm gonna absolutely get on that. Okay. Brown Skin Girl 391 asked, does Shane, their coworker, have an attraction to them? What I'm getting to say is like it's there, but it might not be as much as you would hope, if that makes sense. Like there's definitely some sort of attraction. It's not like all the way though, and I totally understand if that's not the answer you wanted, and that's what I'm getting to describe it, to say here. So I hope that that's helpful, at least as a message. And the other message, if that's someone you're interested in, what I'm getting is like, hey, don't worry about them. Like there's better coming. So if that helps to hear as well. Like there is some attraction, but there's also better for you. So I hope that helps. And they're not a bad person, but all right. You're welcome. Okay, here. Lynn's Maryland 88 asked, how's it going, by the way? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by this question. Tina Goff 333 asked, should I contact people I lost touch with? Only a couple, only a handful. And like only the people you really feel drawn to, and even then, like for some reason I'm getting like I'd be like a little bit wary. Thank you for the sunglasses, Cowtippa. So I hope that helps. Next message I have for you is, will I be okay? Will Lindsay be okay in their new job? Very is what I'm getting. It's a strong yes on the body pendulum. I'm getting very. I don't really feel like it's going to be an issue. Of course, there might be some learning experiences or like little things as you learn and smooth things out, but I feel like you're going to be fine, honestly. I hope that helps. Yeah, thanks, Chinaman Girl. Yeah. Do your best not to spam in the chat, guys. It does kind of clog things up. If it's been a little while and I haven't answered your question, you can ask again, but try not to do it over and over again. It does kind of, it makes it less enjoyable for everyone, I guess, but I totally understand. I think a lot of lives are like that, so I understand if you're just like jumping on this live and you're just like, ask the question, like I totally get it. But that's just how we try to make things run a bit smoother, I suppose. But and also like questions in the Q&A box, probably the best place to put them. As well. Baby Fairy Ash, if you're still here, this is new logo. Yeah. Metatron's cube. Oh, sorry. This guy is Metatron's cube is the sacred geometry symbol. Unless you meant this one behind me on the wooden board that's wood burned. That's the one that I channeled through. That was for the Lionsgate 2020. Because I do channel and get a lot of symbols like for energy work and stuff like that, and that was one that I got one for Lionsgate 2019. I thought like, oh, it'd be cool if I got one for 2020, and they gave me one for 2020 as well. So that's what those are, if that answers that. Yeah, Metatron's cube. All right, so oh, okay. Bella asked, General, anything from the universe for Bella? Let's see. So fully flask kid. What would be highest must have come through for Bella? Here. The message I'm getting for you is redirection. So you might find that you've been redirected recently, or you will be, as far as like your life path in general, is what I'm getting. But it's definitely for the better. If you feel like the universe is leading you through like a puzzle in life, like it's just, if that makes any sense to you, because they're showing you like the universe leading you through a puzzle. I want to see if they give a different way to explain it that makes more sense in words. So if the universe is leading you through, if it feels like a winding trail, or it's like a puzzle, or like you're trying to figure it out, part of what the universe is doing is like getting you more clear on yourself, so you can invite in what's for you more easily and appreciate it as as that, as what's for you, if that makes sense. So sometimes these redirections or winding trails or delays or puzzles in our life are really just like, they're here to teach us who we are. Of course, they're here to grow us, but once we kind of step into more who we're meant to be and who we are, like things just click into place a lot more easily. It's easier, of course, it's easier to be who we came here to be, but it's easier to have more of what's for us as well. We can have usually a better life when that happens. So beyond that, what else is a good message for you? What would be highest and best for you to know right now here? We're pulling a card here. Our Lady of Resurrection here. I want to see what the message is for you on this one. I do get this is a message of rebirth for you, which kind of makes sense with the redirection or the reroute message that came through here. A message that's coming through for you is like, they're saying the word renewal, but they're also saying like you're going to be made new, like as a person. And you know, a lot of that is kind of going through the collective as well. Like there are people who are going through that at this time. But this is definitely for the better. So anything on the time frame of this being made new here? I feel like it's in little ways throughout this whole time period where, what's the best way? It's almost like the universe is showing me, or source is showing me like this piece of wood, and like this piece of wood gets like notched, and you might be like, but it's like representing you, so you might get like notched, and you're like, oh, why am I getting notched? It's like, what is this? But it's like all of a sudden, like now with all these notches in the wood, it fits perfectly in this like puzzle that fits into life and the bigger picture of everything in this like perfect way, and it's like this support beam, you know, for this house metaphorically or something like that. So sometimes we're going through these experiences that are shaping us, and we're like, what is this? Why did Kyle break up with me? But it's actually like, you know, and I'm not saying like your wounds are supposed to be this permanent thing that notches you and then you become a part of a house, literally, like obviously not. But it's like when you get shaped in this way, it's like you don't realize how you're being shaped until you're fulfilling your life purpose through how you were shaped, if that makes any sense. And that's something they're kind of showing me as well with like this renewal, as like you're being shaped in this way for the puzzle piece you're supposed to play and the role you're supposed to play in life. But it's like very apparent. It's like sometimes that happens very under the surface and we're not sure what's going on, and then 3 years later you're like, oh yeah, okay, I see that. But it's like there might be a few more things that are more in your face about that right now, if that makes sense. Another message I'm getting for you right now, like if there are any challenges in your life, it's a good time to like rise above and like face it head on, like Rocky, like the Rocky movies, you know, the boxing dude that's difficult to understand what he's saying sometimes. Was that a bad joke? Sorry, Sylvester Stallone. I'm sure you're a great dude. Is he a great dude? Not always. Okay. Sorry. Had to check in. Anyways, he's not a bad person, by the way, guys. He's not a bad person. That's what I was getting when I was checking in. But going back to you, but like Rocky, like, geez, like just they're showing this concept of like rising above or like facing challenges head on. And they're also giving this message like defeat is not defeat. You might feel defeated by something, but sometimes that's what makes you stronger so that you can rise up and conquer the next thing. And it kind of is reminding me of a Rocky movie where, you know, like I think the typical formula for a Rocky movie is like Rocky fights someone, he gets beat up, he trains and gets stronger, and then he wins. But it's kind of reminding me of that a little bit, but it's more this reminder of like defeat's not actually defeats. It's training you to be stronger, and it's getting you to a place where you can win, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm trying to get to something and the words aren't coming out of my mouth to like exactly what I'm trying to say, but I have the energy of what I'm trying to say. So give me 1 second to see if there's a better way to say it. Okay, they just want to move on. The next thing they're showing me is like a mermaid, interestingly enough. And they're giving me the word Melusine. And mermaids and Melusine really first started showing up for me. There's another reader who brought her up, and she doesn't show up in a lot of my readings. But Melusine is the mermaid that's on the Starbucks cup, if you guys have Starbucks in your country. But it is a mermaid that does typically have to do with like wealth and abundance and prosperity and things like that. But why are mermaids and Melusine showing up for you here? Because like one thing that tends to come through when these creatures come in readings, whether it's like mermaids or fairies or dragons, is like the theme of magic. But in this case, it's also about wealth. So in some ways, it's about you connecting with your magic, but it's also about, for some reason for you, Bella, what I'm getting is this message is like, one good thing that might be good for you to look at right now is like, what do you want to do for wealth? And what is wealth to you? And what has you feeling wealthy? And like, how do you invite more of that in? Because it's like, you're worthy of that abundance and wealth is one thing they're talking about. And it's also a weird message of like, and it's not like, I feel like I need to be careful with how I quantify this message, because it's like, how can you use your magic to gain wealth? But it's not like using your magic to manipulate people and do all this stuff. Like, but there's nothing wrong with working with your magic in an ethical way that's for the highest good to build what you want to see in your life, in a way that's for the highest good, of course, is what I'd say. So it's more like, how can you work with your magic more and move towards what you want to see, which I guess is what anyone wants to do, right? But that's one of the messages coming through for you as well on that. Anything else for you that needs to come through? This card did come out here. It was Our Lady of Creative Choice. The thing that really jumps out to me about this card, and the thing they're saying is like, there's so much different color on this card, and it's kind of wild, and I'm sure the artist did that on purpose. But the other thing to know about that for you is like, try not to let your life be only one color. Like, try not to let just like one thing rule the show. Like, try to have as many colors as you want, like as many different people, as many different experiences, as many different things as you'd like to see. And maybe not all at once, because that can be a little bit difficult, but what's the main message here? It's this reminder or this message of like, add as much color as you want to see and let things be as multifaceted and multidimensional as you want them to be. Like, there's no one way, and sometimes there is really like one thing that really fits the bill perfectly, but sometimes there's like a lot of different things. Like, sometimes there's people who, yeah, they race cars, but maybe they're also really great at drums, and maybe they also like love to jam out on the kazoo, but then they're also an amazing chef. And so like, it's not always just like one thing. And like, you know, it's not like there's a dude who just like races cars and that's his whole life, and he just like races his car on the track, and then he drives his race car home and sleeps in his race car and eats race cars for breakfast. Like, it's, you know, there's usually more than one thing for us. So I don't know if you needed to hear that, but that's one of the messages coming through as well. It's just like allowing things to be colorful and multifaceted, and have multiple things in your life that you focus on. That's it. I hope that helps, Bella. I hope that brought some of the messages that were helpful for you, and we're good. So, whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's see. Whew. The universe desk gave me an opportunity to renew, do over something that didn't go well recently. Perfect. There you go. That was so accurate. Thanks. You're welcome. Glad to hear it. Always glad to hear it. What is next? Okay. Oh, hey, Jen, love the boys' room. How's it going? Thanks, Phoenix. I appreciate it. Spaghetti Leggy, you just said, so I'll get right to you, Cater Samad. Spaghetti Leggy S says they just left their marriage. Do I have any advice? First of all, the reason I'm answering this, I saw your question. They instantly just said like, you made the right choice, and like, good for choosing you. One of the pieces of advice they have for you is don't jump into another relationship. I'm kind of did I do this for you before, like about your relationship and leaving it? And I said don't jump into another relationship, because this feels very familiar, like your username and me saying don't jump into another relationship right away. But it would have been in like December or something. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if that's deja vu or what, but so you just left your marriage. Do you have any advice? Do I have any advice for you? So what would be the highest and best advice for you regarding that here? Honestly, like, live life and enjoy it. If you haven't, unless you already did jump into another relationship, like, don't jump into another relationship. Like, try to find the things that stoke your passion outside of relationships with other people. Like I would paint, I would create. But like for some reason, one of the main messages and pieces of advice for you is like enjoy life. Like do your best to get out there and enjoy it and smell the roses. Try not to feel like you need to have a serious next step right now, unless you're already handling that. And that's why this message is coming through, is like just enjoy it right now. I do get there is more to life than just like, serious, super serious life purpose all the time. And I think it came through for one person's purpose that I thought was really pertinent just to kind of consider, is like sometimes your purpose does involve like you enjoying life and experiencing the life you came here to live, in addition to like any soul missions or anything else you came here with. So back to Abdul. Abdul asks, anything about their career, please, here. One piece of advice I have for you is don't stay stuck. Like, don't stay stuck in the same place. Because kind of like we've been talking about this multifaceted thing, like there is more than one thing for you. So I would find the one thing that lights you up the most, that also pays well enough for you and what you want to do in life, and pays the bills. Sorry, they said pays the bills, and I was trying to avoid saying it for some reason, but they keep saying it. So anything else for you about your career here? They are giving me the term expansion, like they're showing me expansion. And that's kind of tying in with like the try not to stay stuck message. Like for some reason I have this piece of advice, like try to expand your options or expand what you're doing. Like maybe like expand your position in a company, or like expand what you're doing. So anything else on that would explain it a bit better for you? The other thing they're saying for you, Abdul, is there's more than one thing for you. So if you feel like you're hopping trains, and let me explain this, because it's something like a train, like maybe you're on one job and that's a train, and then you're like, oh, here's this other opportunity that's like more expanded or it's higher up in the company, and you jump onto that train. And then all of a sudden, like you have a friend starting a business, and they're like, Abdul, like I want you to help me with this. And you're like, okay, and like that feels right. So you jump on that train. Like there might be more than one train that like kind of keeps you going through life with your career. And that's okay to not be stuck on the same train and to hop trains, because sometimes if you just stay on the same train all the way down the line, like all of a sudden you're in the, you went from Chicago and you're in the cornfields in the middle of, I don't know, Iowa, and you're like, this is not what I wanted. But if you're willing to like kind of get off the station and hop to a different train, all of a sudden you're in like San Francisco or something. There's a lot more opportunities. So that's just something to consider, is like not to stay stuck on the same train. Any other messages for you about your career right now here? I feel like you are going to potentially change jobs soon if you haven't done that recently. They just said you're going to change jobs soon, so that might be something that's coming up in the next year, where you're kind of changing jobs and jumping on a different train here. But I really have this advice for you, like don't stay where you're at. It just doesn't lead to where you want to go necessarily. So it's definitely okay to expand, to switch it up, to move up, to do something along those lines here. But I also get you're not stuck where you are, so I'd keep that in mind. I would change things up. So I hope that helps, Abdul. Anything else for you before I move on to a different question? I would ask yourself, like, what does my soul want me to do? And like really sit with yourself, and you can journal that out. And that is like, I'll talk about it. I went this whole live. I went almost 2 hours without mentioning Lee Harris, which is pretty good for me. But it's one thing he talks about with like learning to channel, is like you just take a notebook and you ask, like at the top you write, what does my soul want to tell me? And you see what comes through. Like, do you hear words? Do you hear messages? Like what do you get? And it's like an intuitive exercise. But for some reason, like for career for you, that's like a question that they said to me to have you ask yourself, is like, what does my soul want me to do? And the other thing, like when you're asking that question, beyond even just the automatic writing thing, is when you're asking that sort of question to the universe or to your soul, like the answer is going to present itself one way, shape, form, or another. It's like asking, you will receive. And whether that's like you ask, like, what does my soul want me to do? And that just like a doorway just opens up, and like someone like synchronistically says like, oh, that just looks like it would speak to your soul. And you're like, it all came together. And like you go that direction, like is an example. Like there's just multiple ways these things can happen. And for some reason would it be for that good for me to share this story? I want to share this story because I feel like it's not exactly related to you, Abdul. but it's related. It could be related to someone else, or someone else might need to hear this. But like, for instance, like when I'm talking about this example to kind of get the point across, because I was talking about like, hey, ask like, what does your soul want you to do? One time, because I was visiting, this was like last year, I was visiting Austin, Texas, and I probably shouldn't have gone, but I went. And, and if you knew the whole story, you'd know why I probably shouldn't have gone, but it's not a bad thing. But I walked into a crystal shop because I just kind of had like a lot of the day to myself. So I walked into a crystal shop because I love just seeing the crystal shops that are in like a new area when I'm in a new area. And I walked into this place and like there was someone who they hired to be like a greeter, and like they'd greet people at the door. They'd give people like a cold beverage on their way out, like a sparkling water or something. It was just to enhance the experience. And she had this book of crystals in front of her, and then she had this one particular crystal on the book, and I can't remember what it was, but I looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's a really nice like crystal or whatever it was. And she's like, oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with my spirit guides, and they said like this stone it helps you get in touch with your spirit guides because I'm trying to make this choice. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's literally my job. Like, what's going on? Because I was channeling like that. I was doing like readings full time at that point, like channel and intuitive readings. And so she kind of like went into her story, like, oh, you know, like I'm kind of in school to do this, but like I had this other experience, or like, and like I kind of want to change, you know, paths in school because like I had this experience and it was really great. And like I was just like, can I tell you what I'm getting? And she's like, yeah. And so like I channeled through the information of like what I was getting, what happened with each choice and which the better one was. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. And then like at the end, she was like, oh, it's really interesting that I had this crystal to get in touch with my spirit guides, and then you showed up. And it was like, yeah. And so like one of the things to keep in mind is like, there was the person I'm dating, we were just talking about this like yesterday, like she said something similar, or they said something similar, where it was like the universe will meet you where you're at. So it's like, if you're trying to get in touch with your soul or your spirit guides or source for a choice or a decision, and if you're someone who can channel and it's time for that to open up for you, like great, that's probably going to happen right then and there. If you're like not quite at that, if you're newer to everything with this and you're not quite at the place, like some way, shape, or form, like, because the universe is everything and can work through everything, like something's or someone is going to show up that gives you that information or gives you that message on like what your soul is trying to get you to do. So I hope that story explains it a bit better, and I hope that makes sense for you and everyone else listening. Hope that helps. What? Oh, Lee Harris, Lee. Yeah, Lee. Lee Harris. Okay, Q&A. What would it be? Sorry, I'm going through the Q&A right now, guys. I'm going to probably do a general reading soon for everyone. Probably going to answer, one more personal question. And then I'll do a general reading for everyone, or a collective reading, whatever it's called, whatever the kids call it these days. And then we'll see where I'm guided to go from there. Excuse me. Oh, okay, I guess you get two. Brutally Honest Blonde asks, will finishing their book give me more clarity? Yes and no. You'll get clarity on some things, and then thanks, Crystal Rose. I'll absolutely get some of my water. I appreciate that. So finishing my book. So yes and no. You'll get clarity on certain things by finishing your book, but maybe not everything. But it's definitely a step you should take. It's definitely a step in the right direction, and it does open more doors for you, even if it's not directly related. Sometimes, weirdly enough, what I'm getting for you, sometimes just being in the frequency of having completed something, like having completed your book, is going to open like more doors for you, interestingly enough, because it's almost like a level up. Or it's like the universe is like, hey, you did this, good job. And so it's like a frequency upgrade. So that's another message I'm getting for you, interestingly enough, regarding you finishing your book. So both yes and no. But it's a good option to do that anyways. I hope that helps. Oh, I like this question, so I might answer that. Lake Puel Lady asked, are there really spiritual blocks? And I get no, not in the way people conceptualize them. I'd say it's probably a little bit more complicated. I remember one time I was doing a reading for someone, and I really liked the information that came through, because like one of the things they were saying is like, there aren't really like, what my guide says, like, there aren't really blocks. It's more like knots. It's like undoing an energy knot or something like that, or like healing that. That doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, but I'm not saying you all have knots and stuff, but that was a piece of information I thought was really interesting. And she was an energy worker, so it made sense that came through for her as like a more specific way to get the information across. But for some reason, I'm getting spiritual blocks aren't really a thing. I think maybe sometimes it's about like when you're ready for something. Like there is a lot of divine guidance, and to me, like there's an infinite intelligence and wisdom that is everything, that underwrites all of life and underrides all of life and everything about it. And like life itself is infinitely intelligent and infinitely wise, at least in certain ways, if not always, I'd say. So blocks might be more like something to work through, or something to redirect you, or something that's supposed to get you to where you need to go. But I think as a concept, they exist to help people explain certain things. Are they the exact way it works? Not necessarily. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I think maybe in some ways, what the heck's going on? Anyways, I think in some ways, hopefully that describes it. I'm getting a little distracted now, but hopefully that describes it. So it's like, I'd suppose the way that my guides are describing it is like, not really, there aren't really spiritual blocks, but you can encounter things that are like that. But that they're there to help you to grow, if that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to jump to the general collective reading. So I'm going to do the general reading for everyone here. We're just going to check in and just like what would be highest and best for you to know. What would be highest and best for me to bring through for you. And I might even do a past, present, future spread. And this is collective. This is for everyone here. And if you're watching the YouTube replay or the recording, it's for you when you see it. So let's see here. Our Lady of Soul Birth here is the first card coming out here. So interestingly enough, I feel like this came through for like one or two specific people as well, but they're indicating this is potentially the past position and like a past, present, future spread, this card. Like a lot of you have been like in the process of being made new, or you're birthing like more of yourselves into your life, or becoming more who you're meant to be. But essentially you're still in that process, essentially, where you're kind of like giving birth to more, like giving birth to more new energy, giving birth to more you, if that makes sense. And I do feel like you're going to find this process kind of keeps going. But one of the messages they're bringing through is like you are being made new. For some of you, this already occurred. But it's something that's going to be rolling through the collective like for the next year or so, is like just people like rearranging almost like on a dime, like really quickly, or like being made new, or like giving birth to new circumstances really quickly. Just because it's time. Like there's been this like fertility era that we've been in is something I'm getting. Like things are really fertile for change or for creation, or like giving birth rapidly to new circumstances is something they're giving me. So if you feel like you're made new, or you haven't made new, you have been made new, you're on the right track, essentially. There's definitely more to this card. So what else is coming through for you guys here? Another message they're giving me is coming out of the fire. Behind, Mother Mary on this card, there's like this fire around her, and it looks like the sun behind her, which is a positive omen, by the way. for most of you watching. But it's also like stepping out of the fire of refinement. I'm also getting a message you guys are divinely protected. Like this necklace almost looks like evil eye beads, and for some reason that's jumping out at me, and they're saying you're divinely protected. So if you need to know that, there you go. But so what is this out of the fire message here? So one message for you guys is things are going to start cooling off. If things have been intense, or you feel like you've been in some type of fire walk, or you've been like the crucible in the fire, so to speak, or being refined in a fire, things are going to start cooling off where you like, it's like when steel cools off, and like when a blacksmith works with steel and it's in the fire, and he shapes it, and then he cools it so it keeps its form. Like things are going to cool off a bit more where they like have a bit more of a steady form or direction, I guess you could say, for most of you. For others, it's like you feel more steady in yourself, like you don't feel like you're constantly changing or something like that. Or if you feel like you have a solid foundation to grow upon, as opposed to constantly running through the fire, metaphorically naked in life. You'll feel like things are a bit cooled off. And it does have to do with, they're showing me spring, like the spring season. I know if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be autumn, but what's the main message here with the spring here? It's kind of like a metaphor, and it's funny because it's what we're doing, but it's kind of like a metaphor of venturing from winter to spring, where things might be harsh and they're cold, but then like you finally have like those rays of the sun starting to kind of burn away the frost and provide you some warmth, and you can finally wear shorts again, and it's a lot more comfortable. So in some ways, one of the themes as well coming through is like comfort, is coming in for you guys. So I'm going to do a present card as well. We have Our Lady of Divine Presence, and it's funny that they have the presence card when I said present, but what's going on here with this card with you guys here? Okay, I mean, one thing I am getting is you guys are being called to be more present, and that can be healing in and of itself is what I'm getting, where if you take time to be present and like sit with yourself and like put your awareness on yourself and like what's going on, and like things begin to shift on their own sometimes, or a lot of the times, just by like you putting your awareness on it, and allowing that to shift things. But I feel like that would be really healing for you guys, is like just being present and like with yourself and with what's going on. I feel like you're going to have a better time if you do that as well. Another message I'm getting is like no more, they just gave me the words no more scatter. And like when I'm looking at this card, like there's all this stuff like just scattering. It's just like, it's almost like broken glass. But it's almost like things are going to be less scattered, or the pieces are coming together instead of falling apart. And for some of you, I'm getting like for once, it's like things are coming together instead of falling apart for once. But that was kind of a side message as well. So what else would be highest message for you guys to know right now about the present period here? In some ways, like one of the messages I'm getting is like being called away from the past. I do feel like there is a bit of a purge that's more symbolic. I feel like I've been saying purge like in a lot of these general readings, but lately. But anyways, I feel like there's a purge that's more symbolic, where it's like the past is finally leaving for good. I think sometimes like, I guess an example would be the example they're giving me. It's like you end a relationship, but then there's still like all that person's stuff around. Or you end a relationship and then you still see like signs and synchronicities about them. Or it's like, you walk away from a job, but they still call you to see if you want to come back or something like that. But it's going to be more like it's time to move on like more thoroughly. And a lot of those like remnants of the past are also being released, the ones that are for the highest good to be released, where you don't feel like so stuck in the past, or you don't feel like there's so much lingering from the past. So a lot of that's being released right now. And they're showing me, and they're giving me the message of like clean cut, like it's going to be a clean cut from the past. And it's also like a clean cut from people who have wronged you, like outright, essentially is what I'm getting. And like, sometimes people are doing their best and they're trying, and then they hurt you. It's like, that's not quite what they're talking about. It's like people who have like outright like come against you for no reason, or wish you ill well because of their own stuff, or they're just not there. That's definitely going to rescind if you feel like you've been dealing with that at all. They're also, interestingly enough, showing me autumn leaves, and what's that about here? One of the messages they're giving me is like a tree has to let go of its autumn leaves to grow new leaves in the spring. So you might feel like you're just having the final release of any autumn leaves that have been lingering so you can grow your new leaves, essentially. I feel like I bring this message through a lot, but it's coming through again, so I'll just bring it through. But they're giving this message of like the new is birthing. And so that's new projects, that's new endeavors. They're showing me like a little sprout growing out from the ground. They like to show me that with this. So what else is going on with the new is birthing here? So I feel like June, July, August, I was getting this earlier, like new relationships might be happening a lot around this time or in the autumn months. And I'm trying to like incorporate Southern Hemisphere people in these messages as well. So it'd be like, autumn months for me for you guys would be, September, October, November. But like summer, autumn, or June, July, August, June through November, like new relationships coming in is kind of going to be a thing for many of you, if not most of you as well. So anything else on that before we move on here? So another message they're showing me is like the sun shining like really intensely, and the sun is usually a good thing. Like the sun tarot card is like the best card in the deck typically with tarot and things like that. But for some reason they're showing like the sun, but it's really intense. It's almost like there's 3 suns, which is good. I'm getting a weird message for some of you, like make sure you can handle joy, or make sure you're okay with things being good. Because sometimes being able to hold that frequency of things being good is okay, or things being okay is what's needed, or things being good is like what you need. Because it's like maybe everything's good, but it's like, are you okay with everything being good, or do you like feel uncomfortable and then make something dumb happen to like feel like, oh, this feels familiar again? Okay, it's just a reminder for some of you, like if things do get good, like don't feel like you need to like let it be okay, essentially. I think most of you'll be okay with the intense sun, but it's just like I just feel like there's more good coming than you realize, but it's also like a lot of intensity along with that. So as long as you're willing to be okay with that, like you'll kind of come out the other side of that better than ever. So anything else on this? So next card here. So this is where you're headed. Our Lady of Great Power is coming out here, is the future card. So let's see here. One of the messages I'm getting is like heart more healed. It's kind of what we're going through right now as well, is like I get like a heart upgrade. So it's like your heart chakra is upgrading, so like you'll be able to hold more love, or there's more heart healing happening, so that you can be in a better place with it. For some reason I'm getting this message like, hey, like don't be afraid to have boundaries. What's the best way to quantify this? Like even a rose has thorns, I guess, is like something you could say. And it's not like go around stabbing people with your rose thorns. It's more like it's okay to have your boundaries just in case, or be able to whip those out when you need to be able to, so that you can exist as the beautiful rose, metaphorically speaking. The next message with this Our Lady of Great Power here, I did already kind of mention earlier in like the general reading, like earlier in this live, it was in the middle of like a message I was bringing through for someone. Like personal power is like a theme in like June, July, August, and like standing in your personal power. I'm getting it's going to be easier to stand in your power, like kind of going forward in the future here. Like a lot of you have had the lessons and like you're ready to do that, and you see how it's not worth not doing that, which is a good message as well. So I definitely like that one for you guys. I feel like this is obvious. I feel like I say this in a lot of my posts, but behind Mother Mary and behind her head, like, is the world. And they're saying the world is changing here. And like part of the message about owning your power and like your personal power is that it's so you can change in the best ways along with the world changing. And so you don't necessarily get taken for a ride by everyone else's stories about what's happening, because there might be, certain amounts of fear-based energy about like, oh, the world's going to heck, and oh, da-da-da-da-da. And like, everyone said the world was going to heck when coronavirus was happening, and now I don't know about where you guys are at in the world. But where I live, it's kind of like they just kind of like lifted the mask restrictions, and then it's kind of just like nothing ever happened. It's really weird. Like I don't see any coronavirus news. I don't see anyone talking about it. Like there's no mask restrictions. Some people still choose to wear masks, but it's just like Russia invaded Ukraine and then like coronavirus disappeared. It was really weird to me, and I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but it's definitely like really interesting to me at the same time. That happened. So, but it's like all these people were like, oh, the world's gonna end, but then here we are, like, 2 years later. Like it's maybe the world's not where we want it to be with world events, but we're here. Most of us, the people who were meant to be here, are still here. So it's, I don't know, be careful about getting wrapped up in that mentality as well here. Another message I'm getting for you guys is you are part of the change. And you playing your role as part of the change. And like one thing that they're kind of showing me as I talk about that is like there's all these, it almost looks like a computer chip in some ways. Like you have the world and you have all these little like lines kind of coming into the world or coming out of the world. But it's like you could say like it's like each one of you is like one of those lines, and it's like as you shift and change, as you stand in your power, as you grow, like so too does the world change. And it's like this message, like your light is needed. So if you're willing to stand in your power and shine your light, I guess you could say be the change, and be the person who is walking their path and like choosing that, whatever that looks like in the moment. Like you're going to be changing people around you, and you're going to be changing the world. And each one of you is important to that. Each one of you is here for a reason. So don't think you're not important. Like even some of the little things can make big changes, and they're kind of talking about the butterfly effect. They're showing me the butterfly effect regarding that. So like even you like helping one friend with spirituality, like who knows, maybe they go on to become this really cool spiritual teacher, and then like they impact millions of lives. And that's not to say like, oh, you're only going to do small things that make a big difference, because I know a lot of you want to do big things too, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something to keep in mind. Like if you're walking your path, like sometimes you don't realize who and what you're impacting for the better. And for some reason, that's one of the messages they want you to keep an eye on with this card, with Our Lady of Great Power here. Another message here with this card, and this is the future card, is like you're going to be more powerful. You're going to have more of an impact. You're being kind of shaped. Here goes that theme again. You're gonna be kind of shaped into like the person you can be that has the most impact if you want to be, if that feels like your role to you. Even if it doesn't seem like it, that's, for many of you, that's where you're headed. For other people here, I feel like a lot of you are just going to have an impact just by being you, and it's important to keep that in mind. So I'm going to just see what else would be highest and best for me to bring through for you guys at this time. What else would be important for you to know? Whether it's about the past, present, or future here. So interestingly enough, like they're showing me this river, and it's symbolizing like the river of life. But this river is like branching into like 2 rivers, but then it's branching into like 6 rivers, but then it's branching into like 8 rivers. Like this river just like keeps on branching into like all these different directions here. In like, in a weird way, and I feel like I have to be careful on how I quantify this, but what would be the highest and best message with this one? Hopefully this makes sense as I say it. I'm going to ask them to explain it more. But like what they're kind of showing me with this river and all these branches is like there's no right path, but there is like a best path, if that makes sense. I think sometimes people get really wrapped up with doing like the right thing. And like sometimes sometimes it's obvious, and like I think sometimes there's different definitions of what we mean by when we say the right thing. I think that's when it gets confusing. But sometimes like there's not like a right thing. It's just like what feels best intuitively, or what's for the highest good, or what's best. So I would ask for like the best path, not the right one, if that makes any sense. And if you feel like it feels better for you to ask for the right and best path, like do that, like do what feels best to you. But it's almost like there's so many different directions things could go for you, for many of you watching this. And none of them are like wrong or right. But if you're willing to make the choices that are best for you and like ask for the best path, the best one is going to be highlighted, and you'll be able to go that direction. So I wouldn't be too obsessed with getting it right. weirdly enough. I'd be more concerned with like what feels lightest and best to me. Because sometimes other people's definitions of wrong and right can really mess you up if like you listen to it. And like I think a good example is like religion. It's like or the concept of like this is right, this is wrong, but it's like, is it really right or wrong? Like, is that really bad? Does sin really exist, or is that just a judgment that you've put on people to control them? It's a little iffy. So that's maybe why that message is coming through a bit, and hopefully that makes sense to you guys as a message as well, with what's coming through as well. I'm gonna pull just another card just in general. Okay, I feel like I said this, but I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into it. With Our Lady of the Whispering Heart coming out here, one of the messages I'm getting when I pull that card is heart energy is rising on the planet, and that's why it's gonna be important to connect with your heart and make sure, if you can, that your relationships are heart-centered to the best of your ability. It's okay if it's not there. People are just where they're at, you know. But the more you can be in your heart, and like, that's going to help you go down that best path too, is something I'm getting as well. Because that's also going to help elevate your frequency. It's going to improve your relationships if you're coming from that heart-centered place. And it's also just going to help tell you which way to go. Like when you're in tune with your heart, like, that's another way to access your knowing or your intuition is like talking to your heart or feeling into things with your heart or what feels best to your heart. And I don't mean your emotions. I don't mean like, I feel sad when I go to work, so I'm not going to work anymore. I get that. And I think if you do consistently feel sad at work, maybe you should look into changing it, but maybe don't blow up your life because of it right away, if that makes sense. But what I'm talking a bit more is like listening to your heart, like with your claircognizance, like what is your heart saying? Like what does the knowing of your heart tell you, if that makes sense? But also just if it makes sense to live there more of the time in that heart-centered place, like you're going to have a better time being heart-centered than like too many other places, if that makes sense, on earth. Beyond that, what else is most important for me to bring through for you guys here? This did come through for like one person in particular, but I am getting a message as well of like, go your own way. And so I want to see what, it kind of links into the greater power, or Our Lady of Great Power card as well. So what does go your own way mean for you guys here? I do feel like I've been bringing this through a lot lately, and I think it's just going to be a message that's prevalent until it isn't as prevalent anymore. But there are a lot of just like new directions coming in, or there are a lot of, what was the message here? There are a lot of things that are unique that are going to be starting to show up on the planet. It's kind of like innovative is one thing I'm getting. So if you feel called to go in a different direction or like your own way or off the beaten path, like definitely do it. I feel like there's more for you there than like on the trodden path. And there's nothing wrong with either. It's more like, again, like what feels best to you, what would be best for you. But for a lot of you, there's a lot more reward off the beaten path than on it, especially as the world transforms, because a lot of those traditional methods are kind of disappearing or evaporating or transforming in a way where it's like not exactly what you want it to be. So I'd keep that in mind as well. Anything else that needs to come through for you guys here? Our Lady of Sacred Union coming out here. So let's see here. What is this about? For some of you, this is about love here. What I'm getting is like in the next few years here, if you're someone who's looking for love, people will have evolved more where it's easier to find a good person for union if you're someone who works on yourself and tries to get to a better place. And especially like with this heart-centering message as well, like it's going to be easier to find a better person in the future the way things develop, because more people will be there, and everything's just kind of like in development right now is one thing I'm getting. So you might not feel like you're finding too many people who are there right now, but that does change down the road, because like more people are being called forward to self-development, like more people are being called to heal and like to work on themselves, and like more people are just waking up, even if you don't see them using the stereotypical lingo and talking about ascended masters and things like that. More people are becoming more heart-centered. So if you're single, like there is love on the horizon for some of you. I don't feel like that's the main message or focus, but you'll be coming into union with someone in the future who's a bit higher vibe and more your speed, essentially, as things progress. Also, like whale spirit animals kind of showing up for this reading as well, which is about higher communication. Many of you are learning to communicate on a higher frequency, and that can be like on a human level, like you're learning to communicate from the heart at a higher frequency than normal. It could also be like channeling and talking to your spirit guides, like communicating at a higher frequency. But interestingly enough, a message I'm getting as well is like the frequency of communication, or the communication frequency, is rising on Earth. So it might not be there yet, but more people are going to get to a higher place regarding communication, and that's with things like feelings and emotions, where it's easier to communicate with more people on those things, and it's not as difficult as it was before to like get through to someone. Because for some reason I'm getting like communication is going to be easier, and you might see some sparks of that soon after this reading, but I think this is more like a long ball thing, where it's like that's what's on the rise, is like a higher frequency and level of communication, where it's easier to get things across to people, whether it's just easier verbally or it's telepathically, or however it's going to work for each of you. So I'm going to see if there's anything else that would be important for me to bring through before we kind of wrap up this collective reading here. One thing I want to say for you guys is like, hey, like don't sweat world events overly much. I think it's good to pay attention, or it can be. But if you find it taking over your life and it's like your main focus, and you're spending 12 hours out of the day like focused on it, maybe take a break and focus on something that does bring you a bit more joy, or that would help you a bit more for you to focus on. It's just important not to let your experience get hijacked by like the news or by someone's fear mongering or anything like that, because it's just going to kind of lead to a dark place temporarily, and it's like you don't necessarily need to go through that. And I think it's okay, like if you're having the reaction you have, like don't judge that, like that's okay, but like you don't necessarily want to stay there if you can help it. But I think sometimes acceptance of it when it does show up does help you move out of it. So I'm not trying to say to fight it either. Anything else that's important for you guys to know right now here? I do get a message of better coming. And there might be a few bridges you need to cross to get there. And like they're showing me this bridge. They're actually showing me Mother Mary walking across this bridge. And like this bridge is kind of like, it's like a rope bridge, and maybe it's a little bit rickety. It's going to be different bridges for each of you, actually, is what they're showing me. But if you're willing to make certain changes and cross certain bridges, you're going to find yourself in a better place. Like a big message right now that came through for a few of you, but now it's coming through for this collective reading, is like, don't stay stuck where you're at if things aren't working for you. Like there are going to be some bridges that are presented to you that once you cross them, you're kind of in a better land. And again, like, because going back to that message of like the sun and the sun being really intense, like it might be intense in some ways. But it's like, it's worth it to traverse the desert in the intense sun to get to water, instead of like staying in the middle of nowhere and starving to death, you know. Like it's worth it to traverse that intensity for a lot of you guys. And I don't even think it's going to be that bad for most of you. And you know what, some people and some plants like really thrive in intense sunlight, so maybe you're one of those. But if you're willing to cross those bridges and venture through some of that intensity, I think you're going to have you're going to have better things coming. And right now, like the collective is kind of like on a bridge, you could say. Like we're kind of at this halfway point on this bridge of change, or one of the bridges of change. There might be like multiple metaphorical bridges of change that we're crossing. But what's the main message here? I don't know. I would definitely feel like things are not, I would definitely recommend for some reason what I want to say is like things aren't over. And by that, I mean like there might have been a lot of change, but there's still more on the horizon. And it's like the world isn't done shifting, and neither are you, is something I'm kind of getting. So I hope that makes sense. They're also showing me pink petals, like pink flower petals. What does that mean here? And they're giving me a message of compassion, and it's definitely, I feel like I've said this last week too, but it's definitely a message of self-compassion. Compassion for yourself, for your emotional state. And the more you're bringing that in a good way, like I also feel like that's going to make things easier if you're able to be in a compassionate place towards other people, as opposed to an emotional one. But I know like emotions are kind of high in general right now, so I know that might be tricky, but that's just a tip that they have in general here. They're also showing me gold thread. So what is gold thread about here? It's actually about destiny here. For those of you who need to hear this, if you don't stay stuck, you will find your destiny. And I know for like the few of you who feel like really lost right now, I'm not trying to freak you out and be like, oh, you're not going to find it. Because that's not it. Like if you're working through something, you're working through something. It's more like if a change presents itself, that's like obviously the right choice. And for like whether it's out of fear or something else, like the main message is like, hey, cross that bridge. Like it leads to your destiny. Like make that change. Don't stay stuck. Like don't feel like not doing it out of fear or something like that. Like they didn't like how I said that. So how should I say it? Okay, the way they're presenting the information is the opportunities for change that are presenting themselves are here to get you to your destiny. So don't overlook that, and you'll know when you see it. Like I don't think you need to go turning over rocks to look for it. It's more like you're in a job and you're like, oh man, I really want to quit, and then like your friend's like, hey, you want to work here? It's like, there you go. That's an opportunity for change, or things like that. So keep that in mind. It's like it's just a reminder, like some of those opportunities for change that present themselves are like, it's there for a reason. Anything else here? I would also just pay attention to feathers as a sign. To me, feathers are a sign that angels are there helping, or like things are going to be okay. And that's the main message, is like feather is a sign that everything's going to be okay. If you see a feather, is something they're talking about. And then also, like if you see the color green, like a lot, or the word green, that's like a sign of like abundance is going to be coming your way. And I know, like, I'm not saying like you go for a walk in the forest and you're like, oh, it's all green, abundance. But you know, if it really jumps out at you as a sign, for some reason, or you just keep overhearing people saying it or something like that, like that's a sign abundance is coming. So, anything else for you guys here? I think there's more, but what is it here? I don't know. For some reason, I want to give a reminder, like just not to beat up on yourselves. It's not a great time to just beat yourself up over anything, just because like it's just going to make it harder on you when you don't have to do that. So I hope that makes sense as well. And now they're showing me a white dove as well, so we're just going to keep going. So what's the white dove about for you guys here? It is about peace, but what is that? Okay, the realizations you need for peace, or that will bring peace, are going to be coming here. Or what's the main message here? Okay, I do feel like there's more peace coming. I don't know if this is worldwide. I think this is for you guys specifically. And you're going to have the realizations that you need to get there coming in here, like in the next 30 days or so is what I'm getting. So I feel like in the next few weeks, you'll be having realizations that lead you to more peace and more peace in your experience. And I think when you have that, it'll be easier to be more compassionate as well. I also see clarity being on a rise for you guys. So maybe not like right away, but pretty soon here, like along with those realizations of peace, like I think clarity is going to be a piece of that puzzle as well. That helps with that. Where else do we need to go? Okay, they're kind of saying that's it. So I feel like some of you might be healing, I don't think this is everyone, but some of you might be healing like fragments, or like where you've been fragmented in the past. I would definitely keep going with that. Like anywhere you're healing like trauma or anything like that. Like, sorry, they want me to go back. You're gonna heal those fragments essentially. Like if it's like a soul retrieval thing or something else, whatever that means for you, like if things have been fragmented, like that's going to stop being that way. Like you're gonna heal that. But that's it. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I feel like I'm like in a different space right now, but so I'd say, like, to reiterate, right now it's like you're coming out of the fire walk and you're going to have like this period of time where things cool down. You're going to have bridges of change that present themselves. I would definitely, if it feels right and feels good to you, I'd take that and not feel stuck where you're at. You know, like, because if you're on a mountain and you don't want to be stuck on the mountain, like take the helicopter ride that shows up, or, you know, take the bridge to the other hill. Like, don't stay on the mountain. That's kind of it. So I hope that helps. Thank you. Like, Lake Paul Lady. Thank you. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that made sense, guys. For that, and I hope you guys are having a good day out there. For anyone new joining, thanks, Rachel Jorn. Made perfect sense. Awesome. You're welcome, guys. I'm glad it was helpful. Ooh. Oh, thanks for the hand hearts. Liza, thank you. Everyone has been loving this collective, myself included. Awesome. Glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I haven't been watching the comments, so I was not. Glad to hear it, though. I do feel tired now. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I don't think I overloaded myself, but I definitely was starting to feel it towards the end of that, that collective reading there. Let's see. I get a really, Marie, you're asking about like your guardian angel's name. I keep getting a name like Zella, Zella, or maybe Zellai, something like that. Oh, Coco, yeah, no, totally. Excuse me, guys. Lori 1418, do you do individual readings? I do, yeah. So on the link tree in my TikTok bio, it's the first link to my website, and you can schedule a reading with me there if you feel called to. That's your girl. I don't really feel like you're blocking yourself from moving forward right now. I think it's more about timing, and it has to be the right time, honestly. And things for you are going to move forward at the right time is what they're showing me. Is it still possible to have a reading on love here? Let me see what they say here. Would it be fast for me to do that? I can do that pretty quickly. I can do a quick thing for you, Derek Barnes, a reading on love here. So, like, interestingly enough, like, one thing I do get for you, Derek Barnes, is like a positive turnaround on love, which is great. They're also like just showing like these little adjustments being made, like you're being like tweaked, not tweaked in a bad way, but like little, like you're being adjusted in these little ways. Like they're showing like angels like tweaking things. So like, so you're ready for love in the right ways. And sometimes you have to be fine-tuned for the right partner. And that's what's kind of happening for you right now, is like this fine-tuning process. And that's happening through your relationships with other people, the realizations you're having, any inner work you're doing. But over the next month or so, like you're going to find you're starting to attract, maybe over the next year, you're going to find you're going to start to attract like a higher quality of people. Well, let me see what they're saying here. Eventually you will definitely attract a higher quality level of people is one thing I'm getting for you. But right now is that refinement period, like before that like comes in more strongly, but you're going to start to see hints and clues of that, where it's like people of a higher caliber are more interested in you, and people that are more your speed, that are hopefully people that are healthier too. Yeah, that's coming too. So that's something I'm seeing like in now that's in process for you in your love life here. But anything else that you need to know, like as far as like new partnerships coming in, what I'm getting for you is like this like June, July, August, like this summer period is like a good time for you to have fun and like explore your options. Like I wouldn't get sold on someone until you know you're sold on someone, essentially. And hopefully you're single right now as I'm doing this reading. But that's something another message I'm getting for you is, I mean, you would be, or at least mostly. Like don't get sold on someone unless you're actually sold on them. Because there's going to be a lot of options that look really great, but they're not. It's like on paper everything's there, but then it's like they'll like yell at your mom at Thanksgiving, and you're like, what the heck is happening? That's a metaphor. I'm not saying that's literally, or that's an example. I'm not saying that's literally going to happen, but it's like there might be things on paper that show up and they look amazing. Like maybe it looks like an origami swan, but then when you undo the origami swan, it's like a weird cult letter, and you're like, this isn't right, and you like have to throw it away. So just watch out for that. I definitely like get to know people before you like jump in to like a relationship super deep with them as well. I feel like later this year is going to be really good for you as far as like finding a really good solid person. I feel like next year is really gold as well, especially if you're like allowing yourself to be adjusted and like kind of going through that process, because it's like it's really fine-tuning you for your next person, essentially, is what I'm getting. So I hope that helps. Oh, Derek, or Derek, hopefully I'm saying your name right. So yeah, anything else on that for you before we part ways for that reading? Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you are gonna have love coming. I feel like that's a non-issue. Like, I wouldn't even worry about that. It's more like, are you ready for it? Is kind of the question. But that's what's happening, is you're becoming ready for it. So I hope that helps. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I think I need to stop. My guys are like, yeah, you need to stop. So I think I'm gonna end the live here, guys. Because I'm feeling it right now. So I should probably go for a walk or something. But excuse me. I hope so far, like, the live has been good for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the collective live. Thank you guys. Yeah, I'm glad. You're welcome. Absolutely. I guess I'll do some self-promo stuff, because I should probably do that sometimes. But I do have I have energy work classes coming up this month. I do have another Reiki 1 happening in 2 weeks, if that's something that's been calling to you, is learning Reiki, and you feel like I'd be a good fit for you as a teacher. So that's on my website on the scheduler. I also am teaching another, I'll get to that one later. Then of course, like, I do personal readings through the link in my bio. You can find, it's the first link, it's my website. You can book with me there. Reiki 1 for a certification. Yes, it's Reiki 1. It's certified. So you guys are, that's in 2 weeks. So if that works for you, if the time, it's on Saturday. So not this upcoming Saturday, but the Saturday after, I think. It's like halfway through April. So if that calls to you and the time works out and everything works out perfect, and then just you can contact me if you want more information on that. So that's available if you guys are interested. And then I am teaching another class with the modality I channeled through, like, later this month, but they don't want me to talk about that one as much right now, so I won't. Then of course I do personal readings. So that's kind of what's going on right now. Do I do master level? I do teach master level, yeah. I'll say, like, I haven't taught master level as much as the other levels, just the way it's worked out so far, but I have facilitated, like, Reiki master level attunements and things like that. So yeah, I do teach master level. Excuse me. So I guess that's it. I thought I had more to talk about, but I guess I don't. So, good to see you, Traylon. I hope you're doing well too. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day. Are you my master? I think it depends on what you mean. Your Reiki master got sick after level 2. Oh, super interesting. Yeah, go ahead and, like, I hope you have the best week too. I hope you have an amazing week. Oh yeah, I do have thanks, Texas Jess. Good to see you, by the way. I do have a book, Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. It's kind of about talking to your spirit guides, and it's not a huge long book, but it's about channeling and talking to your spiritual team. There's a lot of really good energies and channel transmissions with it, which is good. So that's another resource for you guys if you ever feel called to it. But yeah, awesome. That's awesome, Wigfall Lady. You're welcome, Aspiring Human. I hope you guys have an amazing day too. Your next appointment is a week from now. Do you ever get cancellations to open spots early? I'm kind of, sometimes yes. Right now I'm kind of getting to kind of take the next week off, and that's part of why the scheduler, like, looks booked up right now. I do have some readings that were already booked, but so I'm probably going to be back more next week, and I'll see because I know some people have reached out about readings. I'm going to double check and see, like, okay, should I do those? Should I not? On those, like, individually probably today, and get back to those people. But yeah, I'll absolutely feel free to contact me through my website as well, through the contact me form, and I can get back to you then as well. But I might end up taking most of the week off this upcoming week, just because that's what I'm being guided to do. But Yeah, this live, unless TikTok, unless the recording didn't take for some reason, yeah, I'll be posting this on YouTube. I'm getting better at that. Um, okay, but that's it. Anything else before we part ways? All right, no, I think that's it. I feel like there's more, but I also don't know what that is right now. So, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, of your month. I guess the only other class that's coming up is I am teaching the first class for the modality I've been channeling through, Valeumi. That'll be at the end of the month, so there's plenty of time to like sit with if you want to do that or not. But that's coming up too if you're interested. But you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day as well. And I'll get out of here. I'll stop holding you up. All right, you guys take care. Not that I was holding you up, but you know.